Crossover is
crossover dribble.
sing for the crossover.
Kyrie Irving, crossover in the lane. One of the most famous crossovers of all time. Behind the back, an ankle breaker on Chris Paul. The crossover continues to evolve.
All right, time for the crossovers brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha at everlowconcrete.com. Have you seen Finnegan?
Finnegan?
The big boar from the Iowa State Fair?
No.
Oh, yes, I have seen
1,420 pounds.
He is a tank. A tank.
Yeah.
Is he announcing his commitment this weekend?
Oh.
Wait, is TC right? Was the previous record holder Reggie at 1,335 pounds?
1,000 pounds.
I would not know. I do not
Okay.
know the history of the largest boar at the Iowa State Fair. Once went there with my parents when I was fighting with them. My mom was.
Did you ever see a big boar?
I've seen a big boar.
Yep.
I had a couple of uncles and aunts that grew up on farms. My uncle Jim, still to this day, but he's turned it over to his sons up in Clarinda. Where do they live? Clarion? Somewhere up northwest Iowa. They have a huge land and they have a bunch of hogs. I was not allowed to take care of them because when I was young, the story got out that on my grandpa's farm, I got on the tractor and I think the barn had been wind aided, but I took down part of a barn because the tractor didn't turn.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's a tractor's fault.
So
Don't
after
beat
that,
yourself up.
on,
Not known for their
on my mom's side of the family, I was not invited to farm stuff. I was just invited, like maybe I ought to stay home in that suburban community. you live in.
Oh, don't even come out here? Like, it's one thing to go to the farmhouse.
Whoa.
But you just don't have to let you into the corn crib and
Right,
to the barn.
I mean, I also was not like jonesing to go and, walk beans or stuff like that with Uncle Junior.
I understand that.
There you go.
Our family is a bunch of ranchers, so we've got all these cattle. Jacobsen Incorporated. In case you're curious.
Ooh,
Whoa, that's
that's a plug.
INC period. Listen, it's
Well,
a big
Do
deal.
you guys have cool hats?
You are set for life.
No, but we should.
I
We
want a
should.
hat.
I know we should. Listen, I'll
Hook us
talk.
up.
I'll
Hook
talk
us
to
up.
Grandpa Jake. We'll see what we can do.
Get us a cool trucker hat.
I
I'm a
was
big trucker hat guy.
I was put onto the task of branding cattle at a young age, and 1 year went out there and just took a nap because I was tired and was never asked back. So I'm going on about, I would say like 12, 13 years of not branding cows anymore. So it's a little bit different.
Ain't no naps there, Oscar.
So what
Ain't
you're
no
saying
naps.
is you kind of grew up like around Yellowstone because that's really realistic.
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Who's Rip?
Who's Rip?
Yeah, do you have a Rip? Did you have a Rip amongst
Not
the
a
group?
broken bow. No, that was never that one never crossed my mind. No.
Did you guys have the bus station? If anybody got out of line?
Did you have a cliff that you threw dead bodies off?
Yeah.
Well, Grandpa Jake's house is built on the tallest hill in Custer County, so I guess I could have done it there.
okay.
Yeah, so maybe he is.
So that was it the bus? Is it they called the bus station or the train station? I can't remember. I think it was the bus station.
Bus
right?
station.
Bus station.
Bus
Yeah. So that was the bus station. Okay.
There's an airport strip. I don't know what happens out there, but maybe maybe it is Yellowstone. Maybe it's more than I thought it was.
There could be more going on there than you know.
Are you excited?
Yes.
I know you're a big Yellowstone guy.
So
the
is
ads
it
are
back?
rolling.
Well,
Yeah,
it's coming
November.
back November 10th.
Oh,
They
okay.
keep adding to the teaser. So Kevin Costner is not involved.
Mhm.
I'll be very curious because they did half the season
Mhm.
and they left. I mean, somebody's dying.
Yeah.
Like a couple of people are going to die.
Sure.
So Costner isn't back. So he's not in any of the scenes that have been shot. So I'll be curious to see how they explain that.
Yeah.
But yes,
Did Jamie thwart an attack?
Is this
by-
a not coming back because he doesn't want to, or not coming
well,
back
I
because
think they had a difference of opinion. He wanted more money. They had a difference of opinion on the storyline. He's also working on a bunch of other projects. Like they haven't been on air for a couple of years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were already going to take a break, but then they were going to come back like shortly thereafter, and him and Tyler Sheridan got into
Kevin Costner's going through a massive divorce and needs a lot of money, so he asked for more money and was told he could not have it.
Man,
You're
when
not
you-
as
when you-
essential to this thing as you think you are, Kev.
When you say it like that, it's not as complicated as I
No.
think people would believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just pretty cut and dry right
Like,
there.
I don't mean to air his dirty laundry
yeah,
out
you know,
there, but
hey, if the facts are facts, right?
That is true.
why else is he hanging around Jewel all the time? Oh, they're just friends. Sure.
Do you think he's like using her? Do you think Jewel has a lot of money?
No, I think they're genuinely falling for each other or whatever, but
The Golden Bachelor?
boy, it sure doesn't seem like Kevin Costner and Jewel would be hanging out.
Hey, so you've been
Otherwise-
good on celebrity couples. Predict the future of Jewel and Kevin Costner.
Oh.
It's gonna burn hot, but quick. Feels like a rebound situation.
Did you call the Affleck Lopez how that was going to end, or did you think that
like how it
be-
always ends? you
Who's
mean?
the duck dating?
That was a good one.
It was Nick Saban at one point. Sorry.
And Prime.
And yeah, that's right.
Prime
and
now.
Prime.
Yep.
Yep.
Are they still going to do those commercials?
Oh, Affleck.
Well,
yeah. Ben Affleck.
It's like, seriously, who the hell are we talking about?
there was an there was an
bad,
Affleck.
because
Yeah, there was a Ben
I
Affleck.
have. So I've seen an Affleck commercial this morning. Ben Affleck.
No, I thought that was pretty real. I thought
I feel like there's something there though.
they're both very public figures. Why would they?
No, I feel like there's a
duck-
commercial,
the
there's a
duck and-
campaign
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Ben
Affleck.
Affleck. Yeah.
I mean, when you're that famous, you don't circle back unless you think that there's something real there. You don't.
They should do that for the next round of ads.
I do. Yeah.
Like
There's
splitting up with your old insurance.
They should. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Lopez
There it
meets
is.
up
Are you
with
guys talking
Affleck.
about Ben Affleck and then the duck keeps going Affleck?
Yeah.
See, how come
actually,
they
I think
never
it's
got
a winner.
together in a commercial?
Exactly.
Well, because he always looked so happy to be with her. It'd be really difficult to act.
She was never in those Dunkin' commercials.
No, and you know what?
She
So,
was the Super Bowl one. She was
The Super Bowl
yeah,
one
she was.
but apparently, if you reach page 6, which I do on a daily basis,
You need to.
that is one thing that she did not like. She did not like him doing those commercials.
Well, yeah, because he looked like a fool, and she doesn't like to be embarrassed, and that's
Oh,
one of the arguments they had.
So
is
that's why
that-
she canceled her world tour because like 15 people showed up.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly, and she is mad at him because he embarrassed her with this relationship failing.
The stress.
I mean,
I think the stress more than anything canceled the tour. Don't you think?
Who does this?
Maybe.
Who is this more indicative of though? Is this more on Ben Affleck or J Lo? Because J Lo's
she's the Elizabeth Taylor of our generation.
she's been the tough one to love lately when it comes to fully committing.
After a number of failed romances, for whatever reason,
Yeah.
maybe you need to look in the mirror and say, maybe it's me.
I know what's the common denominator. Do you think Mark
Yeah.
Anthony, Ben Affleck, and A-Rod all get together, trade stories, and say
Have like a Gen club.
yeah. It's you could call it like a male support group,
Mhm.
but yeah, something like that where they sort of commiserate over everything.
You know, we're probably
J Lo.
one more Deadpool movie away or one more major Marvel movie away from Ben Affleck becoming Batman again.
Oh god,
He'll just come back and everyone will go, "Oh, remember that? Remember him?"
My kids liked when I was Batman, so
Yeah.
I'm Batman again.
This will blow. This is how he blows off steam.
Exactly.
All right, this is a good Friday crossover topic.
Oh boy,
This is good.
no, I'm excited.
I was recently at a sporting goods store.
Nice.
That's when I observed that, man, if you can do a certain thing inside a sporting goods store, it might eventually end up in the Olympics. Like I was at a place that has one of those climbing walls. I'm like,
yeah.
oh my God, speed
Yeah.
climbing.
Huh?
You don't want to get in with the rock climbers though. They're dangerous.
They are. Eventually, the Olympics are going to become the American Ninja Games,
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Ninja Warrior Games.
Yep.
Yeah, the
Like
Ninja Warrior would be
everything
pretty
goes on there.
sweet.
So I was at the store, and I was walking by an area, and I paused because some customer opened up tennis balls. Now you know where you have the
Yeah, you
pull
got to
tab,
peel the thing off. Yeah,
Yep.
it's like
But
a
it
pull
makes a
stretch.
noise.
The freshness
Yeah.
tab, yeah.
and
Yeah.
think about all the times you've ever opened up a tennis ball case.
It's awesome.
What do you like to open? Like it might be a pizza box, it might be a tennis thing, it might be a can of whoop ass.
Oh, nice.
Well, I mean, who
Good.
doesn't like opening up a can of whoop?
But I'm
ass?
like, there is no like disappointment in opening up a can of tennis balls.
no,
Yeah.
it's amazing
Every time.
when you get a little
That's
bit,
a good
a little bit of that pressure that comes out too. But it's not overwhelming. You know, the one thing that I've actually learned later that I actually was scared of when I was younger is the crescent rolls. When
Yeah.
you got to do the
Yep.
pop.
Yeah.
and it goes.
Do you hit
fuzzy.
it on the side or do you do the spoon?
Oh no, use the hands, man.
Whoa.
Yeah, you
You're
just
a real man.
Oh yeah, you press down. You
No,
gotta-
I smacked the side out of the counter. or
where it tells you where to press. Use your thumbs.
No.
You got opposable thumbs. Use them.
No.
No,
My
see,
wife does the counter. I do the spoon.
Nice. Use your thumbs.
For why?
I ain't getting my hands
Because
dirty.
God gave me these thumbs for a reason. I'm going to keep them. I'm not letting Crescent.
They're not going to blow up.
You don't know that?
It's not like it's combustible. Although when I was younger, I thought it was. It scared me every time.
Oh,
It was like getting the puff of air in your eye.
There has to be one reported injury of Crescent Rolls to thumbs. There has to be one. I'm not going to say that I'm not naive enough to say there's none.
I'd want to say it's a user error, though. It wasn't the product itself. But so my wife now insists that I always do that because she's still scared of it. Now I take joy in it. So it's right up there with the tennis balls of opening the tennis balls. But Gary's right. It's kind of a guilty pleasure. Just open it up. Now, do you know if the person was opening up the tennis balls just because?
No, they look like they were. They looked like they were a tennis. They were dressed like they were going to play tennis.
Oh,
gotcha.
Yeah, male or female?
It was a male.
Okay,
it was like a older gentleman.
Okay.
Oh, so it was Mad Dog Russo?
Very tan legs.
Yes, and his socks pulled up to his
and
shins.
Huge calves.
He was probably still reeling from the Billy Bean stuff too, so he's trying to get over that.
I gotta imagine.
Get out there.
I gotta imagine. On that note, I imagine he wasn't the only one.
Oh no, I did it
because I
did too.
I wasn't live on the air though.
Yes.
So.
A little bit different.
Yeah, I thought, wait a minute, why are they talking about this? Just say the guy from Moneyball. Oh, wait, they're different people.
Also, I don't have a show on MLB Network.
Okay.
A little different.
Stu says a compact disc. When was the last time you opened up a compact disc?
Oh,
when you were able to get the little sticker
But you know what?
CD, that's what you were talking about. Aha.
A laser disc.
Sorry.
I don't remember ever opening a laser
I could vibe with that. Like when CDs were a big deal and you would get the seal off.
Yeah, the little
and you would open them up.
And it goes.
That was kind of a big
it's a smooth
deal.
opening.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. If it comes off in one full tear,
that was right. It was a low percentage hit rate,
Yeah.
but when you got it, it was you felt like a king.
Same thing, a little different. Video game covers back when you could just take off that plastic in like one sheath. Oh,
and now
fantastic.
you're good. Well, okay. I think we've all either experienced it with our cell phones, especially you, Austin, who had a new one. When they have the plastic covering over it, and you get the little tab, and then you pull the whole thing down.
Yep.
There, and or on a big screen TV.
Yes.
There's something magical about that too, and it all comes off in one. And it's just one big little thin plastic sheet.
Oh, that's not supposed to stay on there.
Some people think so.
Some people think so.
The house that we moved into, people had been living there for quite a while. I mean, it's an older home. The microwave still had that plastic film on there.
It started bubbling up, and they're like, we got to take this back.
Yeah, I know. I was curious as to what caused them to keep it on there, but they had like the buttons worn down in between, and they didn't think to themselves, I wonder why that could be. Interesting. So I took it off, and I'm just hoping that, when we give the house back to whoever takes it next, that the housing company doesn't come in and say, hey, you ruined our microwave.
Yeah, it's like, no, I actually made it better.
I think one of my first laptops, because I was so worried about the screen being scratched, I think I kept
it on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's okay.
That makes sense. Yeah,
as long as you're not getting any bubbles where it actually looks different on the screen, it's probably a good thing to do. But once over time, you're going to start getting a little air in there and think, my screen is messed up, and you realize, oh wait, no, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
New screen. I think that's a fun thing to open.
I'll give you one of those. Just coming off the bachelor party, I do have to add in, a cold can opening. That's always a good one too.
Oh yeah.
But it's got to be crisp, a crisp open.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want anything, any foam that comes out right away.
Yep.
Nope.
You get that little click sound too in there with the air pressure coming out. Really, if you get pressurized air to escape,
is it the feeling or the sound that's better in that?
Hmm.
When you get the, that just made that up.
I feel like it's the crack. I like the crack of it, right?
Okay.
Like you
hit
hit
the initial.
Yeah, you hit the tab down, and then when you get that seal breaking, that's the best.
You know what that reminds me of is back when I would shotgun beers.
Yeah.
So as soon as that thing opened up, it's game time.
Mm-hmm.
There's no going back then.
Yeah, but
it's either in you or on you.
By the way, false advertising, because Bush does all their advertising on opening up a can.
Yeah.
It does not make that sound.
More of a Bush.
It doesn't.
No.
If you have a good group of friends, they will make the noise for you.
True.
Which I've been around before, and honestly thought that's really cool. You guys need to follow me everywhere. I'll drink a lot more Bush.
I don't know why I said bus station. Andrew's right. Train station. That's where you.
I always
get a 1 week
confused.
suspension.
That's on me too. Because I initially said bus station too. Then I thought, maybe it's
the
train
claim
station.
to fame of Wyoming on the show.
Yeah,
as they drive into Wyoming at the train station and throw them off the side.
Yep.
But there's going to be like that activity at the train station when Yellowstone comes back on November 10th.
Stacks.
Mike says, can't believe you guys haven't brought this up. What about a bag of food that you get from a fast food?
That's a good one. And even if you want extra points, in altitude, bag of food, even better. You open up a bag of chips, like in the Rockies, changes your whole life.
In what way?
The bag is extra inflated. And so you fear explosion when you open it. So there's
like
a little
the crescent
bit
rolls.
Yeah, well, a little bit. You fear it's like that sense of death, right? The reason we go on roller coasters, and you open up the bag, you're like, this could blow out, or it could change my life. And you open it up, purple bag of spicy Doritos. Oh, come on.
Does Pringles doesn't have the pull tab anymore, do they? They just have the cover and then the plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's right. Though.
I guess that is like a paper.
They've got something on the top.
But pulling
they
the
used
pull
to have
tab,
like a
the
real
pull tab
pull
where you might
tab.
cut your finger
Uh-huh.
because you're trying to get into a bag or
I mean, it was like a tennis ball thing.
like a tube of Pringles.
Yeah.
Because those edges were those you could get stitches. Those things are pretty nasty.
I once killed a man.
Whoa.
Somebody from the
Gary killed a man.
I mean, it happened.
Good context.
All right. I stopped to watch this person open up.
Did he seem satisfied?
I'm telling you, it's a moment of zen to take a tennis ball silo and the pull tab and open it up and the noise it makes and the smell.
Yep.
See, this is another thing about this. What do you like to open, but also does it smell? Like if you're opening a bag of food, like say fast food, you go drive through, you put it in the passenger seat, and then when you open it up,
that's true.
I mean, they say in heaven there is no beer, but it's in my front seat now.
The tennis ball smell compared to, we were talking about this, the lost art of racquetball. If you ever got the sleeve of racquetballs, you had to do the exact same thing, but that rubber smell hits you a lot harder than the fuzzy tennis ball smell. But I would put that. Yeah, just anything with rubber.
Yeah, you can't have that same feeling in pickleball.
No.
People don't get
that. It's a wiffle ball.
Yeah,
it's a glorified. It's a more reinforced wiffle ball than a bunch of them. Yeah, it has no smell.
I'm going to take a lesson in pickleball next week.
Oh, a lesson from like an expert?
Are they going to
like
do
a pro?
Feet positions.
First, I'm going to be talking about pickleball, and they say, "Hey, would you like to learn more?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I always want. I'm a lifetime learner."
The first time that they bring
up
my
sarcasm, and he's like, "Hey, how about 2:30 at such and such?"
What? And you're committed.
We're doing what?
Very nice.
Yes. So this is
do you need to take a lesson?
Is this the equivalent of getting golf, like swing lessons in golf?
I have no idea.
All right.
I responded to a stranger.
When they say the first
you
time,
don't even know the guy?
I don't know the guy.
Oh, that's even better. Yeah, meeting a stranger in a park. I thought that they taught you not to do that.
All right, we need to film
the only
this.
thing they taught me is like when they pull up.
Oh, right.
Gary's never met a stranger.
Well, I've never met a stranger.
That's true.
But he's like, "Hey, would you like to take a lesson in pickleball?" I mean, I don't think this is going to turn into like Sandusky thing or anything like
Well,
that.
no, but I just.
But do you have to take a lesson in pickleball? Don't you just show up and play?
No, the power comes from the base. That's the first lesson.
Oh. Okay.
Is that why you're is that why you're standing in the kitchen?
The kitchen. Yep. See, you know more than you think. I had to learn
Maybe
about
you'll
the
be
kitchen.
teaching him a lesson by the end of it.
Yeah.
Doubtful. He seemed to be Mr. Pickleball.
Okay.
I'm sure he's going to have an outfit on. I will show up in shorts and a polo.
Be short shorts too. Just go full old school Wimbledon, all white. Shorts, white polo, headband, white headband.
Headband.
And you just say, I'm ready to learn.
Oh, and break a racket first thing.
Yep. Yeah.
Like first missed ball, just throw it against the fence.
You got to have the crew socks on too.
Is his name Milos?
Milos. Look at this guy. He's not even married like Milos. He's not even a man. Great Milos drop.
I will feel him out to see if he's into just tons of movie references.
Okay.
Or if he is like really, really serious. But he's like, "Hey, I teach pickleball." I'm like, "Oh, that's great. See you at 2:30 on Tuesday."
Is he charging you?
No.
Okay.
Do you know how long this lesson's going to go?
Yeah, I want to know.
Because you don't want to be in a marathon meeting.
Probably about 30 minutes.
Okay.
Oh. I mean, I'm not there to. I just want to learn the rules of the game. Let's just go. Boom. I'm not looking to go pro anytime soon.
No stretching or anything. No warm-ups.
But we've gotten to the point quickly that in pickleball, they actually have people that give lessons.
Yeah,
what is going on here?
It's going to be, we'll see it in LA.
It's a growing sport in America.
It'll be in LA in 28.
There'll be an outrage if they drop breakdancing and they add pickleball in 28.
No,
It'll be, God, this is so American.
Got to keep breaking.
Just do freestyle rapping. Add that into LA. That'd be great.
Oh.
Tough, but it would be fun. Except the language barriers would
You want to turn the Olympics into just a variety show?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Honestly, it's
No,
just,
no, no,
it's
no,
just
no.
America's Got Talent.
You better
That's all have
apologize
do.
to athletes, world-class athletes. It's not a variety show. We don't have to get up like after we run the 400 and win a gold and have to sing our alma mater.
It'd be better if we did, though. Instead of playing the national anthem, you have to sing the national anthem when you win the gold. That could be fun.
Yeah.
Especially when like Jordan Childs lost her voice. That would be really tough.
Did either one of you, I brought this up to Nick because I think I encountered this yesterday while the U.S. was rallying against Serbia, that there were people that were secretly rooting for Serbia.
Yeah, a lot of money on France. A lot of money on France.
Well, there's a gambling aspect. We didn't even talk about that part. But just openly rooting against country.
But if you're gambling, you actually were probably pretty smart yesterday. So I'm gonna like, okay, I get it.
Okay.
But just openly rooting for the U.S. to lose.
Because of
maybe they don't like LeBron.
Oh.
They've never cheered for LeBron.
No,
I got Steph fatigue.
They are a diehard Celtics fan, and Kerr refuses to play Tatum.
Well, Tatum won't play. I hate America.
Well, every point that Embiid scored, Josh did punch a ceiling. So there was that.
The juxtaposition of Boston Celtics fans hating America.
Yeah.
What a crossroads.
It was there. Yeah, there were people. I think you're right. I think it has to do with the individual players that I could never root for this guy.
Yeah. There's always the aspect too where someone will always bring up the dream team and how every Olympic basketball team will never be the dream team. That's the point. That is the point of the dream team.
But what about if you were a Nuggets fan? Like you love Joker. And Joker proved yesterday that he's the best in the world.
And he is scary.
He is the only guy off that Serbian team that could be on Team USA.
Yeah, he better not come back to America.
He is scary with that beard.
Yeah.
Real scary.
But he's the best. And yesterday just reiterated. But what if you're a Nuggets fan? You love Joker. You love your country. Like, who are you rooting for yesterday?
What do you do?
Derek White, mostly.
Just pick a random guy.
I love the underdog.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's bolder than Derek White, too, in the Olympics. Every time he's out there, I knew.
Oh, yeah.
Very distinguishable.
I don't know that there's many more obscure U.S. men's basketball Olympians than Derek White.
Yeah. Christian Laettner?
I brought him up
Christian
yesterday.
Laettner, though, was like, he was very worthy of being on that team.
Yeah.
Even though you have to have a college guy. Well, you had to have a college guy.
He was
the best college guy.
Yeah.
But like Derek White, if I said to you, look at the NBA, is that guy an Olympian? Would you go,
okay, that's a good way to put that.
You know what? When I saw him playing at Colorado, I thought
Yeah.
Derek White one day would be playing in the Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'd win a
Good
gold
way.
medal. Damn right he would. He'd get more playing time than Jason Tatum. I root for Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra is the best coach on that bench.
Yes.
And yet he's not the head coach.
I root for Coach Few.
Absolutely.
I like me some Mark Few over there too. Just did you forget we got an all-star cast of coaches?
Hey, his first Final
Mark Few.
Four. That was pretty impressive. Good for him. I just realized that. Congratulations to Mark Few.
Got him.
Good work.
That's pretty good.
Wow.
He probably didn't realize that there are this many teams left, and they're just like, no, we still have another game.
Hey, Embiid had to feel pretty good. It's the first time he's advanced past the second round.
Also, why
See the joke.
why does he fall on his head every time?
Embiid?
And I know that he's had like knee problems. Can he not land like a normal basketball player, or does he just elect to just nosedive like an ostrich?
Think he's too
what's his
top heavy?
goal?
Maybe there's a lot of weight.
No, I wasn't going to say it.
I don't know.
I wasn't going to say it.
I'm just throwing it all out there.
He took those two classes on how to fall.
Oh,
See, did you watch Hard Knocks? They actually bring a slip and slide out for the quarterbacks to slide in so they know properly.
That's why a bunch of sports shows have been talking about slip
are
and
we
slide.
all
this
ready
week.
to the Hard Knocks episode where they bring in a baseball coach or teach the quarterback to slide?
No, but Nick Saban came in and they brought out a slip and slide. So I think it's like the same thing.
So,
Okay.
and that was episode 1.
Yeah.
This Hard Knocks season's already over. They've already hit most of their points.
You're saying they can't
No,
go
that's
even higher.
usually like
They
episode
peaked.
3. Did we already have a rookie showcase too?
No, oh yeah.
Then it's over.
The guy was wearing.
What else you need to
He
show?
was wearing a bald eagle Speedo. He's a Canadian, and he sang "God Bless the USA."
Good for him.
Well, they need to have.
I've missed a lot of Hard Knocks apparently because
It was
Well,
a
you
lot
can't
about
miss where
Caleb
his
Williams.
beak was.
They need to
Yeah.
have a whole episode about Jonathan Owens. So
That happened as well.
how many?
that already happened.
Yeah, they had
Okay.
his travels with Simone Biles, and then they're doing
cramming a lot in
FaceTime.
episode
Yeah.
1.
But it was all about Caleb Williams. But now I realize it wasn't. As I rehash this, and Liv
Caleb.
Shriver's voice sounds amazing as
Always
always.
does.
True.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Josh,
Yeah.
could you bring up this Twitter account? RG3.
Oh.
You guys know.
You were serious.
You guys know that one of the safest places right now in this country is on the internet.
Yeah.
The internet is forgiving.
Oh, geez. Wow. It's always croissant o'clock in Paris.
Josh, would you like to describe what RG3 with his wife just tweeted out?
First of all, you need to know who RG3's wife is. Is it someone famous? No, but you need to know the dynamic there.
Why? Oh, no.
Second of all, they are Lady and the Tramping a croissant in Paris.
Well, I mean, one of them is
committed to the
one of them is very committed.
One of them is already fully engulfed in one. The other is just, showing
also
that
world's
it might happen.
Largest croissant.
Yeah, it's a big croissant.
Is this what they fed the pig at the Iowa State?
I would not see now that roll. If that came out of a roll, I wouldn't pop that one. I would probably use some type of machinery to pop that
I would
one.
use a spoon for that.
Many have screenshotted half of the photo and said
2.3
this is wild.
million impressions in 2 hours. That is
to which RG3 has responded, can't even eat a croissant with your wife anymore on this app.
Oh, come on. Did you not know what you were doing when that was posted?
The tweet below his croissant tweet is "Don't forget that God loves you," and asking for redemption. So there is a second wind here for RG3.
This one hurts. I saw a comment that says "looking like Caleb Williams." That hurts. That really does hurt.
I have found my activity for the rest of the day and is going to read the comments and the quotes. Like White Ho got you doing all types of dumb blank.
Oh, jeez.
I said you need to know the dynamic that you're dealing with here.
I like
this one's fun. They reverse the croissant in the face.
The croissants are eating the faces. I like this. Just a screenshot of RG3's commitment. Batman couldn't get me to post this.
Nick responded.
Oh, his eyes are closed too.
Nick Grimm?
Oh no,
no, not our Nick Grimm.
Yeah, the eyes are closed.
He says, "Yo, barber, gotta fade that a little better, gang."
That is true, actually.
You going in deep with your eyes closed? Surely this app will have nothing to say about a picture of a man and his wife enjoying a croissant.
That's right. Let's see if I can get it on Zone TV here real quick.
Oh my gosh.
This is fantastic.
Jokes aside, your hairline is despicable.
Oh no.
That's the second one. Jesus.
It's impressive. It's
Someone's
good.
saying Glizzy Guzzlin.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
You know
we got our first Hawk Tua in here. That's good.
Record time.
Yep. Very impressive.
These comments are amazing. What did you expect, though?
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Oh, okay. I'm going to read this.
There we
Nobody's
go.
offended.
That's up on
Please.
Zone TV.
The best part of this photo is that his wife clearly has the wherewithal to keep the croissant an inch from her mouth.
Yep.
Being a woman, she knew how the internet would react, but she apparently let her husband find out the hard way. That is a queen.
That's
good.
No, that's the
it's a rational
assessment
take.
of what
Yeah, it's actually
here.
a very level-headed, rational take right there.
I mean,
jokes aside, she's not wrong. And she, I think, was very straightforward on that.
Thank you for the trip to Paris.
Yep. Yep. Now he should really buy into this. Just make it your profile photo. Just go all in, because as soon as you start to make make fun of it yourself, people will wean off.
Yes,
You're good.
Exactly. Yeah.
Make it your profile photo every time that you show up on the ESPN ticker, or when he goes into the booth and they usually put the Twitter handle. Just put the guy in the croissant photo. Just have that be you from here on out. You're no longer RG3 Heisman Trophy winner. You're croissant guy.
Well, missing out, he won't be able to come to Lincoln anymore to do a Nebraska game.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So we won't be able to ask him about this?
Yep. That is true. That is true. Why didn't you do this with the burrito? Should have done it with the burrito.
You should have.
With the muchachos.
Andrew shares a response he found from 3-Year Letterman, which is a college football account.
Yes, I follow.
Let's hear.
They're
You
usually
leaked
good.
the Watergate story to Bob Woodard, didn't you?
I understand that reference.
Yep, there we go.
He's
I got
usually
that.
spot on.
Yes. So he's kept the picture up. So good on him. But you are right about their relationship. It was kind of interesting how they got to the point that on this Friday they would be over in Europe sharing a croissant.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, first weekend of NFL preseason, I would think he'd have some duties.
He's going to watch the guys
didn't
win a
he
gold.
get removed from their Monday Night Football coverage?
Yes.
So he's just a college guy now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Then it's perfect time.
Was he not on NFL Live? I think he still does.
I think he does
things.
studio stuff.
Yeah, I think
but
he does
he's not on
for
their
NFL
Monday
Live.
Night Football.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he kept putting himself into every quarterback controversy. I think that they had to take him off of that because every time someone would be like, well, another injury, and he'd be like, I got a call. All right, RG.
And he also got replaced by Travis Kelce, right? So
That's true. And
Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
Kelce. Sorry.
Come on.
All y'all look alike.
Know your Kelsey.
Oh.
Travis is busy, but that would be awkward if he had do the pregame duties
Then
in
play.
uniform and then went and played. And then he's back on the set after a game, sitting there breaking it down.
Aren't we a lot more close to that actually being a reality than I'm not even saying Travis Kelce, but somebody doing that?
Yeah.
Being a pregame analyst and then they're playing and then they come on for the postgame, win or lose. I feel like we're
wasn't that Ryan Fitzpatrick on Amazon?
Pretty much.
More or less.
Was he already done?
I feel like he was. I think he was always available. And he just, he hadn't any calls.
Well, he has an open contract with all 32 teams
Yes.
at all times.
Yeah. So if you decide to activate him, on any given moment, he could be called to duty. He's like a superhero.
All right. Have a good Friday show. Good lineup. The U.S. women and Australia are tied at 2. In the next bucket, the U.S. will win.
Well,
I don't think that's right.
It's not?
It's the first one of 4.
This is what they're, if they're going for 60 in a row. Just think if Caitlin Clark was playing right now. Would they move this from, what are we on, USA Network? Would they move it to main NBC if Caitlin Clark was playing right now with the U.S. women?
Probably, but I do agree with the assessment that, I forget who said it was, is the American people would be asking, why is Caitlin Clark only playing 8 minutes a game?
That's a good question. People are asking.
That is true.
They are. All right. Have a good show.
See you guys.
Have a good weekend.
Anything
boys.
else good with you? Are you going to share your story of your celebrityism yesterday?
My celebrityism. Oh, my Cass County Fair time? Oh, maybe we'll get into it. We got plenty of Husker stuff to get to. We got big lineup. Big.
It's huge.
The crossover is brought to you by Everlow Concrete Repair in Omaha, everlowconcrete.com. Have a good weekend, boys.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's the crossover. The Connor Happer Show is next on 1620 The Zone. It's the Connor Happer Show. Are we sure we want to do this?
Could you, make an announcement that we're ready?
It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, zonetv.live. Producer Josh, we can take the photo of RG3 off, I believe. I don't know if he still made it onto the stream or not, but
He did in the last segment. We have taken it down. Not trying to get kicked off of YouTube.
Yes, we don't need the copyright infringement or anything along those lines. Great show coming up today. We've got plenty of Husker talk. We'll kind of change the lineup around a little bit. We're going to do our odd news with Odd Sun right at 11. Bryan Christopherson of Husker 24/7 will join us at 11:30. Bryan Munson talking recruiting, 11:45. And a lot of other great stuff, including Stephen M. Sipple joining us at 12:30. Have more lunch, quick bites, all that good stuff. But first and foremost, as you heard in the crossover and likely have heard throughout the past 12 hours, USA, USA, USA. Were we ever not back? We were just down. We weren't out.
Left. No, never a doubt.
But Team USA, of course, took down Serbia yesterday, 95-91. Right now, Team USA women's hoops in action in their semifinal, taking on Australia. And they're waiting, of course, to see results from their next game as well. But the Team USA basketball, the biggest takeaway I had in this contest was not just, obviously, the United States moving on to a gold medal. I felt like we were able to watch the 5 best players in basketball in the world on the floor at one time. And I'm not sure it's a stretch of the imagination that many people have to make an argument about saying that. Even with their age, even with everything else that came in that game, in where they are in their careers, LeBron James, Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, and then you can add on the Serbian side with Jokic. 4 of the top 5 players in the world were on that pedestal there. So I want to give you the chance here first, Josh. Is Joel Embiid a top 5 player in the world after that performance?
Absolutely not, Austin.
Still hating.
Yeah.
Okay.
When it was clutch time, last 6 minutes of the game, how many points did Joel Embiid have? Let me answer that question for you, Austin. 0.
Okay. I know. I see where you're coming from. I'm not going to let you derail yourself.
Do it in the gold medal game, Joel.
Please.
Yeah.
But
I dare you.
The last time that I was on, just a few days ago, people were chatting, and I even brought up the discussion that it was a Jokic versus Embiid discussion for this Thursday game. And it didn't turn out to be that way because Embiid's best minutes played were all offensively. And, of course, the Nugget took on Embiid during that entire offensive-defensive series. But who guarded Jokic throughout 90% of the game? LeBron James. And so it never truthfully was an Embiid versus Jokic argument. It was, again, Team USA if they could contain 38 of the 40 minutes against Jokic. What I came to realize through the game was that the 3 best players of maybe not this current iteration and generation of the NBA, but of maybe just a few years ago and that full generation are still excellent at what they do. And man, did that I shouldn't say gold medal game. It felt that way. France is going to be another tough task. But
in 25 years, when we tell the story of this game, it will be a lot like the Miracle on Ice, where people are like, oh, it was the gold medal game. No, actually, it wasn't the gold medal game.
Yeah, great point. Great point. But I felt like this game exemplified the best attributes as to why this generation of basketball fans and viewers will take in LeBron, Durant, and Curry's best parts of their game. LeBron just being the absolute animal that he is. Athleticism, dominance, better than everybody else. He's not the best in the world at every single aspect of basketball, but he is darn near the top in just about everything. He scored in just about every single capacity, had 16 points, 12 rebounds, 10 assists.
That's a triple-double.
That is it. And he's, I think, the only player in the world on the Olympic stage to have 2 triple-doubles.
Oh.
I think. I need to double-check that. Durant's mid-range sharpshooting, the Slim Reaper, is the ultimate nod to his ability to be able to dominate the game. And he put the game on ice multiple times. He was able to extend the lead, keep the lead, get the lead back, especially in those last 2 minutes of the game.
You are correct about the triple doubles.
Thank you. And then Steph Curry, 36 points. He was everywhere. It's a good thing Steph Curry is an American because we would have had a lot of trouble had he not been yesterday.
It's a good thing he finally sucked it up and joined the Olympic team.
That is true. Man, 36 points. I saw this argument too, and I wanted to get your thought. They put that Curry is the greatest showman in sports because his ability to fire long-range bombs from downtown to sway the game and get energy back to his team's side, as well as the ability to ignite a crowd with a celebration before the ball even gets to the bottom of the net. All of these things are showmanship-esque. But I ask you, is the three-point, because we've seen it with Caitlin Clark, right? Caitlin Clark is a showman in her own right, but is Steph Curry the greatest showman in sports?
People are really wowed by threes for some reason.
Yeah, right?
I don't quite get it.
In all athletic feats that you could see in basketball, the only player, recent memory, that I could compare to a three-point barrage like Steph Curry would be when Blake Griffin and Lob City were just going crazy in LA. That seemed to take on a whole life of its own. But for whatever reason, people are just enamored with deep three-pointers.
I do love a Dame Lillard logo three.
There you go. See? So maybe the better question is a logo three, a deep three, the best, how would you put that? The best showcase in sports? If you were going to have like an athletic competition, would you rather see more people fire off deep threes? I mean, we do halftime during high school basketball games. We see halftime, half-court lobs trying to win the check or get a T-shirt. And during football games, someone will line up and try to kick a field goal, but a field goal doesn't feel the same way as a three-pointer or at the same amount of points.
The novelty is this person has no idea how to kick a field goal.
Right.
And they're trying to kick a field goal and it goes in, and that's the amazing part.
Yeah.
Of it.
Do you think more people could kick? What's the distance on those? Like 30-yard field goals? Probably 30-ish?
Connor said with ease he could kick a 45-yard field goal.
With ease? All right. Do you think more people generically that enter into a sports arena, sports facility, do you think more people could kick a 45-yard field goal like Connor or make a logo three-pointer? One attempt.
Wow. Great question you've posed.
I would say logo three. I'm going to go logo three. I know I can't, because I can't get a kick high enough to go 45 yards. 45 yards is a long ways away.
Yeah. I'm going to go logo three, but both are challenging.
Right. If I move the field goal up, do you feel more confident? Like if I said 35 yards or 30, or do you think it's the difficulty, the expertise level of the field goal that makes it difficult?
You do have I think you got a wider margin for error when you're kicking a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
But it is harder.
But then you also take into account the logo three, smaller rate of success because of the smaller basket. Other factors too. You have to be strong enough to get it there. You see those middle school kids run out there, they can't chuck up one.
I'm going to say the logo three I've got a better shot at.
Okay. I would agree. I would agree that I would probably have a better chance of the logo three as well. Now, the USA, they're going to play France next in the gold medal game. Kevin Durant has just been on a heater recently on Twitter. Have you seen all the things that he's been going out and after people for?
Yes, I saw his 5 a.m. tweet barrage yesterday.
Fantastic. So good. So good. So he had a couple this morning. A guy had quote tweeted one of his tweets when Kevin Durant said that a fan claiming that Serbia gave it his all. He asked, "What country do you cheer for?"
Where are you from?
A guy had tweeted, "Some people are saying that I'm calling Katie a scumbag was too harsh, so I'll rephrase. He's a petty, insecure, little ignorant bee."
Oh, hello.
And Durant said, "You're upset," which is short, sweet, and to the point. But KD has been all over the place too. I like this one too. He said, to all you Nuggets fans, nobody gives a abbreviated F who y'all lames believe is the best player in the league. Players have major respect for Joker. We don't worship him like y'all, but most are in awe of his brilliance. Trolling you, cornballs, for rooting against us is a part of the game. The fact that Kevin Durant woke up early this morning and decided to use the word cornball is just fantastic.
He has perfected his online troll persona. When he was younger, it all was kind of tinged with a bit of like mean-spiritedness,
right?
Where now it's a little more playful, and I really enjoy seeing him come into his own on Twitter.
Yeah, I agree. I 100% agree. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had when it comes to all the stuff that comes with the USA, and especially men's basketball. They're the biggest profile athletes there. Simone Biles may be included in that argument, but truthfully, when you get in the team aspect, all of those players at once, and you throw in Captain L'America himself, pretty tough to be able to argue. And then, Joel Embiid's there too.
Who's going to overnight ship a shield to LeBron so he can have it after
that would be great
after the game tomorrow?
I'd take that. I'd do it.
I mean, it's going to be forced upon him, and he's going to absolutely run with the moniker Captain America.
And they won't do a parade tour for him, so he's going to have to figure out a cringy way to be able to do it here in the next year.
I can't tell you that the Los Angeles, host of the next Olympics, Lakers, won't give him a parade if they win a gold medal.
He might run the torch out.
Yeah.
I don't doubt that he's up there for probably dudes to light the Olympic torch.
Uh-huh.
Good bet.
Maybe
put a future on that.
Maybe he hands it to Kareem, Lord willing.
Yeah.
And Kareem lights it.
And then the Kobe statue is holding the torch.
Mm-hmm.
Something like
you saw that the gold medal game will be played on 8/10/24, which Kobe wore 8 and 24 with the Lakers. He also wore 10 when he was in the Olympics.
Wow. Wow. Wild stat of the day.
Imagine LeBron having the gold medal game moved to 8/10/24.
Who would have thought? So many good things going out of that. Other Team USA things from yesterday as well. Jordan Larson, Kelly Robinson Cook. They split time at outside. They did get their comeback win. And Justine Wong-Orantes also tied the team high with 10 digs. Championship matchup is Italy on Sunday, bright and early 6 a.m. for all of you volleyball fans out there. And again, Team USA women's hoops in action right now. Good uniform matchup. I'll give them that.
Okay.
Have you seen? I like the Team USA look. Team USA basketball uniforms are usually not an issue.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually pretty good. It's everywhere else I kind of have a little bit more issue with. But
these are very simple.
Mm-hmm. And I like the Australians. They're kind of they're going into they're buying into a little bit of their uniqueness.
Jimmy Butler next to Dawn Staley courtside.
Interesting. He can't play in this game. He knows that, right?
I don't know if Jimmy Butler plays in games anymore. He almost died during that NBA Finals.
That is true. People forget.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think hairstyle we're going to get out of Jimmy Buckets here soon?
Oh gosh. Great. That's a great question.
Yes.
I'm not exhausted with the question.
Yeah. It's a good August question, right? Like
wow.
This is pre-football question.
Clown wig.
That would be a great choice.
Rainbow clown wig.
Good pick. Has he done mohawk yet? Has he gone full spiked up mohawk like early 2000s grunge skater?
That's a good one.
I would put my money on that one. I like grunge skater. I'm not sure that there's too many other haircuts you could really go with. I did. My favorite's the emo one. The emo one with his hair, because then they had to use it for his NBA highlights.
Mm-hmm.
Those were fantastic. Nothing better than those. But again, Team USA showcasing, and of course a comeback as well. We mentioned it a little bit. They're going to forget that it wasn't the gold medal game that we beat Serbia, but it's a tough task. Tough task tomorrow against France. Victor Wembanyama is not going to be easy to go past. A good defensive team. I thought Team USA's defense in this game was actually better than what people will give them credit for. When they needed to step up, they actually found a couple of angles to do so. So I was happy to see that. But overall, no one's going to remember how good of defense you played in the Olympics. They just want to know how many points you scored, and their best players stepped up when they needed to with Durant, LeBron, Steph Curry, and of course Joel Embiid. Oh, and Jason Tatum didn't play, in case you're curious.
Yeah, well,
you and I contributed as much as he has.
What's up with that? Like, I'm not saying.
And he was a good fit into this matchup. So I'm not really sure as to why he was not really included. Because at the end of the game, when they were slashing, slicing, and going through up and under screens, that's kind of Tatum's game, and they just didn't play him.
So the first game, they quote unquote forgot to put him in, which I didn't necessarily believe all that much. I just kind of thought they were, they had some hot shooters, and you kind of go with the hot hand. You didn't really put Tatum in, but that's fine. You didn't want to word it that way for whatever reason. I understand that. This time, you just didn't play him, and I don't know if anyone was asked about that. And quite frankly, I don't care. They won the game.
Yes.
And Jason Tatum shouldn't care either.
I made that argument Wednesday as well, that regardless of what the outcome of any of these games are, you're not going to be the dream team. Don't be the dream team. Win the gold medal. Do it, whatever it takes. Let everyone decide your rank and status after. But a hilarious edit of this would be the size of your gold medal due to your contribution to the team. Because we're talking like a small chocolate at this point for Jason Tatum. Derek White will have better Olympic memories than his teammate, who was nearly the finals MVP.
But not the finals MVP.
But
the finals MVP
is not on
any team.
So the Celtics will be your 2025 NBA champions, just due for revenge, essentially.
Jason Tatum revenge tour. Yeah.
And you know exactly, as soon as they play the Golden State Warriors, that Stephen A. Smith will get upset and angry, and he's going to be shouting at Steve Kerr, and Jason Tatum will say, "Oh, I didn't even remember. I forgot that he was the coach of Team USA and the Warriors." And Tatum will have 32 points and 12 rebounds and 8 assists.
Against the Warriors.
Against the Warriors, not Team USA, because he's not playing.
Who are notedly still very good.
Team USA, baby. Team USA. All right, we've got Odd News with Oddson coming up at 11, and then the next hour, lots of fun, talking a lot of Huskers. Bryan Christopherson of Husker 24/7, Bryan Munson, Husker Online recruiting expert, and plenty more topics to come here on the Connor Happer Show. Austin back in on a Friday for the Hap 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com.
And now we've reached the point in the show where Josh Odson reads the peculiar, the bizarre, the comical, the odd news with Odd Son. Odd news, Odd Son. See what we did there? The odd news with Odson.
1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen once again back in for Hap, who is weirdly working. Just hanging out at Husker practices. So I'm tweeting out Travis Kelce memes, so that's good.
Working numerous podcast appearances, practice reports. Not the show that bears his name, mind you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Thanks again to Connor, I guess, for giving me a chance to be out here. But I'm just more excited to kick off another hour here of the Connor Happer Show, starting 11 o'clock with some odd news with Odd Son. Producer Josh, what do we have for today?
That's right. We're glad to have you here.
Thanks. Was that just the odd news?
No. We begin with a little trip to the Angels-Yankees game yesterday. A little lopsided, got out of hand. It was a doubleheader. They're going to play another doubleheader tomorrow, so kind of a weird set of circumstances there. But Los Angeles Angels pitcher Mike Bowman on the mound with an 8-2 lead in the ninth inning of the second game of a doubleheader. The broadcast got a little wonky, as baseball broadcast is known to do. Kay attempted to bring an interesting fact about the reliever to the broadcast. Kay told his Yes Network broadcast partner, Paul O'Neill, I know you're a much more adventurous eater than I am. Most 4-year-olds are, but you'd have to agree with me on this. Bowman's favorite pizza toppings, banana, peppers, and bacon. O'Neill clarified, banana peppers and bacon? Oh, yeah, I've had that. I thought you meant bananas. I thought we were going like Hawaiian, bananas, pineapple, and ham or something.
Yeah.
That's where Kay thought they were going too. He said, wait a minute, excuse me, what's a banana pepper? He thought a banana pepper was bananas and pepper. So when he said on the broadcast that Bowman's favorite pizza toppings were banana, peppers, and bacon, O'Neill was right to be confused.
Yes.
They went on to explain what a banana pepper is to Michael Kay, who, as I look this up, Michael Kay, age 63 years old.
He's never run into a banana pepper in his life.
No, he's a bit of Al Michaels in the way of, Al Michaels claims to have never eaten a vegetable in his entire life.
Which can't be true.
Cannot be true.
No,
just
0%. Yeah.
Now, I understand as an adult, when you've chosen every meal you've ever eaten, not choosing a vegetable. Sure. Okay, fine. Mm-hmm. Not never in your life, Al. I don't believe it. A seemingly befuddled Kay asked, you would put that on pizza? And O'Neill said, oh, yeah, absolutely. Because, not the most unusual thing you can put on a pizza. So that's what's going on in New York, pizza capital of the world.
Yeah, well, at least they're not the Mets broadcasters, assuming that child is trapped behind a prison in Coors Field. So to each their own, but baseball always full of unique announcers. That's a given, especially when we're into August.
That's right. News out of New Jersey, where a man has put his insomnia to a good use, playing World of Warcraft for more than 78 consecutive hours.
Good.
Breaking 2 world records in the process. Justin O'Donnell, a Marine Corps veteran. Thank you for your service, Justin. Logged into the massively multiplayer game for 78 and a half hours. He was allowed a 5-minute break each hour, but he used his rest time to eat and play with dogs rather than sleep.
That's actually better than sleep. Yes.
Yeah.
Did he eat banana peppers?
I don't know. Good question. He finished his 78-hour, 30-minute gaming session with 80 minutes of unused rest time. Good
for him.
Yeah, he told Guinness, I got physically tired, not so much mentally. I don't suffer from a lot of the typical issues when I'm awake for so long, like lethargy and hearing things. Some people start to slur their words and might even be mistaken for intoxicated. I typically don't get any of that. His gaming marathon broke the record for longest video game marathon playing World of Warcraft, which previously stood at 59 hours and 20 minutes.
Wow.
So he really raised the bar here.
Good for him.
He also took the record for longest video game marathon playing an MMORPG, which, I've heard that before. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Mixed martial opportunities in a role-playing game. Something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. We end the odd news today in Canada.
Oh, good.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who, by the way, in doing research for this story, I saw the Premier of Ontario, whose name was Doug Ford, and he looked a lot like former Toronto Mayor Rob Ford, who, R.I.P. So I had to do the research, and yes, they are brothers.
Okay, good.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford made a request of the province's citizens this week. Quote, folks, don't be pooping on the beach.
What a decree.
Yeah.
Did he shout that from his second floor of the estate?
That would have been even better. But speaking to reporters Wednesday, Ford was asked about rumors on social media that visitors to Wasaga Beach have been using tents to hide the fact that they are defecating into holes in the sand. The Toronto Star quoted Ford as saying, folks, don't be pooping on the beach. It's as simple as that. And quite frankly, I think he's right. Great take.
Yep. You know what? People are afraid to be anti-poop on the beach, but we're not afraid on this show.
No.
Now, I don't want to speak because it is Connor Happer's namesake. So if he can keep his silence if he wants to, but I myself, and I know you stand against poop on the beach.
That's right. Ford pointed out the province had recently given the town of Wasaga Beach more than $700,000 to build new bathrooms on the beach. I have no proof that people are pooping in the park per se, but it's pretty bad if they are, Ford said.
Yeah.
The town's mayor, Bryan Smith Moore, forcefully denied the allegations last month, saying the rumors, quote, lack evidence and promote misinformation. Now, I am not a political expert nor a science guy. If people are pooping on the beach, boy, there's a pretty easy way to prove it.
Yep.
Or not prove it.
The sample size would be large, some might say.
Yeah. There's a way to find out.
There is indeed. Well, thank you. Odd news with Odd Son, and we did get our poop topic in for the week, so thank you for that.
I know. Kids are back in school mostly.
They are. Yeah, they can't be hearing this type of conversation.
Yeah, we do tend to get a little.
Were your parents ones to claim that poop was a cuss word?
No.
Interesting. I grew up in a Catholic household, so everything that could have been relative to a cuss word.
Well, you should feel shame for.
I am very shame.
Everything.
Yeah.
From what I'm told.
Yes. Whoa. All right. Jeez. Sorry, we just like Notre Dame. Not our fault. Let's get into some Husker practice reporting going on right now. First off, we have a pandemic of alliteration happening with journalism. This is just insane. We have to get this done. People just using fast Fedoni or willing to learn white. All of these, we can't keep doing this. These have to cede. Too much. In actual news, we do have some punt returners getting some more reps in front of the media.
Hello.
Make sure that I have these ready for you. We want to report them right if they were reported. Ja'Cory Barney Jr., Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, Emmett Johnson, and Malachi Coleman returning punts. Which Malachi, I'm not sure that he returned punts in high school. I think he returned kicks. So that's a little bit of a new angle there, at least for Malachi on the local side. Not surprised to see IGC returning. Not surprised with Emmett Johnson either. But another big key, as noted by multiple media members, was the fumble drills in which you have 3 defenders trying to punch out a football with 1 running back. And if you fumble the ball after a 10-yard jog, and you then run a lap around the practice facility. So we are getting a little old school Little old school at Husker.
I was just
football
about to say,
practice.
this sounds like a Denzel Washington speech
Little
from
bit.
Remember the Titans.
Yeah, not bad. Was it run a lap or run a mile with Denzel?
I believe it was run a mile.
Yeah. They should go back and find out who had to run the most miles from that movie.
Ooh.
There has to be somebody. Like, I'm trying to think. It wouldn't have been Ryan Gosling because I'm not sure because he didn't fumble the football. He was a defensive back, right?
Correct.
Yeah. It was the running back. The running back fumbled all the time.
Right.
I can't remember who that was.
Now, could everyone indulge me for 60 seconds here?
Yes, please do.
You got aggression, that's even better. You're going to need that too. But any little 2-year-old child can throw a fit. Football is about controlling that anger.
That's right.
Yeah.
Harnessing that aggression into a team effort to achieve perfection.
Greatest actor ever.
Some coaches, they cut a player if they think he's not up to snuff. When they think he's hurting the team. This is a public school program. I will never, ever cut a player who comes out to play for me. But when you put that uniform on,
Matt rolled the 120.
that Titan uniform, you better come to work. We will be perfect in every aspect of the game. You drop a pass, you run a mile. You miss a blocking assignment, you run a mile. You fumble the football, and I will break my foot off in your John Brown hind parts.
And then what?
And then you will run a mile.
That's right. That's
and so
right.
Nebraska ran 37 miles last fall. It was quite a marathon for a Josh Peterson level of activity going on in Lincoln last year.
They were the most well-conditioned team in the sport.
At some point, they always talk about that, but when you have turnover issues as a football team, at what point does cardio punishment no longer work if you continue to fumble? Because remember, they had the Michigan game and they came back and practiced on Sunday and they're all battered and bruised, and then they beat Illinois and everyone felt all good about themselves again. That was all fun. What do you do next, right?
Yeah, there's a point where, okay, coach, clearly running a mile is not teaching us anything. But then if you're the coaching staff, oh no, they're just bad football players.
No,
we can't admit to that.
Yeah.
But we know that, like, okay, you have to, run stadium stairs. Like, that's not going to work.
Yep.
Nothing I do is going to work because you're just a bad football player.
Yep. I think we need to include that speech into the next episode of Chasing 3, where Nebraska just attempts to just beat the hell out of each other with a football in their hands. And then as soon as they fumble, Marcus Satterfield tells them to go run stadium stairs with Corey Campbell. Should be fun. Wouldn't be too bad.
I would probably click play on something like that.
Yeah, not too bad at all. Not too bad. All right, we're going to take a quick pause. We'll come back in just a little bit. Bryan Christopherson of Husker 24/7 is coming up at 11:30. At 11:45, we'll get Bryan Munson with some recruiting talk and news. And in between, we're going to sandwich in maybe some villain sports talk. That's coming next on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone and ZoneTV.live.
Let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Make sure you're checking out all the live streams. It's up on YouTube on 16 The Zone TV and at zonetv.live. So check out those live streams now. Wanted to get into a little bit of Olympic controversy in terms of trash talk before we hit some Husker conversations with Bryan Christopherson and Byron Munson coming up here in just a little bit later in the hour.
Munson.
Bryan. Byron's more fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
You don't like Byron?
I'm
sure he doesn't.
I'm sure he doesn't.
Yeah. We can ask him when he comes on.
Yeah.
11:45.
You ever thought about going by Byron?
That's the hard-hitting journalism that other stations won't cover.
Too much cowardice on the other stations, other shows.
That is true. We dive into names like Letziel Tobogo. Can you guess which country he was representing? He's a sprinter.
I have to recuse myself.
Okay, it is Botswana. That's the country we were looking for.
I knew that.
Yes, obviously. Right, yeah. We were just asking for the people out there that didn't know.
It was a rhetorical question.
So he actually threw slight over to Noah Lyle's side. Of course, the American sprinter, out of the Olympics now with COVID-19, had to be wheelchaired off, which is a great move, by the way. Paul Piercett.
Yeah.
Great move. He did get COVID, so he has asthma and everything else. So I'm sure that does affect him a little bit more. He's out of the rest of the Olympics. But Letziel had commented and was asked, who do you think the next face of the athletics in the Olympics could be? And he said, well, it couldn't be him because he is not loud and brash like Noah Lyles. So that got me thinking, I like where we're going. I want more of this. I talked earlier this week and in my past times here filling in for Happer about, I miss diva wide receivers. I need sports villainry to come back, right? It's like a Disney movie. Sports are best when the villains are at the top of their game and when you're rooting actively against someone.
Baseball's better when the Yankees are good.
Exactly. And the same conversation with college football. Now, many in this state wouldn't recognize that Nebraska in the 90s was counted as one of the villains of the time.
What?
But as soon as you get out of these states' borders, it is very apparent that people did not like the 90s Huskers because they won.
How's that possible?
They won often.
They were so lovable.
So lovable, except when people tried to take some chinks out of the armor, trying to look around, trying to find ways to see if there's a crack. Now, this brought up more and more questions in my mind, and I wanted to ask you, Josh, just with the full perspective, you get to hear from so many people who call in, who are messaging online, who are, in the comment boxes everywhere. Who do you think is our prime villain in all sports now? I'm not sure it's as simple as you think.
Sports.
Yeah, in all of sports, because it used to be so simple. It used to just be as easy as LeBron James on the Miami Heat, the New England Patriots with Bill and Tom, and really, as you mentioned, the Yankees when they were good. And you could hate all of these people equally. But I'm not sure we have those prime suspects anymore. I think we have a shortage of villains in sports. Even Nick Saban retiring, he has turned into a unicorn rather than the devil. There was a joke every year on Twitter that he drank, goat's blood every season. So that way he could stay young and coach another national championship.
Well, I've heard that's true, though. That's true.
Well, I mean, it goes right with his oatmeal cookies first thing in the morning.
Yeah. What do you think he dunks them in?
So the best argument I could possibly have for best villain right now is just due to sheer popularity, mass overhaul, and it has to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
No disrespect to the Chiefs.
No.
But they're the villains of this story now.
They have the best quarterback, which is the one way to get every other team more upset with you because your quarterback's better than theirs. On top of that, they also have the superstar addition, which was the Gronk or the Edelman or the Richard Seymour, or any of these added pieces like the Patriots had. But he also has another little wrinkle when you add in the Taylor Swift factor.
Right.
More reason to hate.
Boy, every time we talk about that nice young lady, people get really mad at us.
Yes.
Harrison Butker.
Yep. There you go. Harrison. And so
now John Gruden.
Yeah, I forgot about John Gruden. Spider 2-Eye banana, baby.
They booed Unity. People forget the Chiefs fans booed Unity.
And don't forget as well, Andy Reid, not a vegetarian. So they have that angle of America against them.
Not a lot to like over there.
When you're winning, it's easy to hate on a team, and especially the way the Chiefs are on the exact same replica run that the Patriots fell into when they became the villains of the NFL and of most major sports, where they beat all the teams who were having a short little window, a small frame of time. I'm sure many Colts fans are still very, very upset with the fact that Peyton Manning's entire window only resulted in a singular Super Bowl. One Super Bowl win. 2 appearances, but 1 win. Because the New England Patriots were always in the way. I'm sure the Pittsburgh Steelers feel the same way. Those generation of quarterbacks are now Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. The Buffalo Bills can't get past the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Bengals have only done it once when their quarterback's knee is not shredded. So, how are they going to be able to continue to uphill climb? You have to take out the villain on the top of the mountain, and that is the Kansas City Chiefs. But outside of the Chiefs, I think we're too hunky-dory everywhere else. In sports, everywhere. There's just not someone that is just so hateable. Even some of the most vile coaching villains in like college basketball. We don't have those anymore. I don't think the hate for Coach K and Duke is anywhere where it was 10 years ago.
No, I didn't realize how essential he was to that piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh, okay, he'll go away. We'll all still hate Duke. I don't even think of Duke anymore.
Nope, not at all.
I understand they're one of the 3 or 4 favorites to win the title, but like, I don't even think of them.
Yep. Not until the tournament time. And then when they lose, everyone will come and be like, oh yeah, Duke lost. I remember. I don't like them. Yep. There we go.
Lost to Grinnell or something.
Yeah. And it's not the year-round hate anymore.
No.
Coach Cal, he's almost like a lovable figure all of a sudden. The way he was ousted in Kentucky.
The sport caught up to Coach Cal, and now Coach Cal is like, yeah, I'm not so bad now, am I?
Yeah. We just need more of these villains. We need more. And I think that because of social media, because of how quickly you can turn it, no one accepts the villain role. The best version of LeBron that I think most people accepted outside of his Olympic form was the Miami Heat when he decided to go all in and say, yeah, no, I am the bad guy. I am the person that will win championships and go to 4 straight finals. And I will take championships away from other great teams because that is what his goal was at the time. LeBron was at one of my favorite moments in time of the NBA when he was a villain. Now, you can't be a villain for the Showtime Lakers anymore, but somebody else could be. Kevin Durant has tried to be the villain. He's kind of accepted it, but he is just, again, one of those lovable figures that people love his game too much.
He'll play the villain, but like his team's not good enough to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know who the next villain rising could be coming outside of all the other major sports. The toughest part is that there are things that you want to hate, but you can't hate the whole, right? That is the toughest part. You can not like the Oakland A's management or the ownership, but you can't hate the A's players because of that. You're not going to boo the team every single instance you get because of that. Even in the same sense with the Chiefs. I'm not necessarily a Chiefs fan, but because of the local area, you see them all the time. They're always on television. My girlfriend is a huge Swiftie. So you have to accept them for who they are. And they're just, it's fun to watch them play. Generational players are fun to watch.
Sure.
They're not as hateable as they can be. Now, if Patrick Mahomes has a couple more of those outbursts like he did against the Bills game in that regular season, I could see where it sways the public opinion the opposite way.
He's good for one of those a year.
Yeah. I'd really like to see us maybe get a college football villain again, though. Like we talked about Lane Kiffin a couple of days ago. Yeah. He can't be a villain anymore. He's too fun to follow around.
Yeah, Alabama dynasty. Maybe it continues, maybe it doesn't, but it'll be different without Nick Saban. Michigan is sort of, folded up shop. And again, the team might still be good, but the center figure of that has left and ran away to LA.
Yep. Michigan would have been our next great villain arc, but unfortunately they have exited stage right.
Could Texas ascend to that maybe this year? Maybe Ohio State.
I guess the only villain I can think of right now, and we'll talk about him plenty in the next couple of segments, Colorado and Coach Prime. But he's not even good enough.
Yeah, they're not good.
They're not good.
I understand. They beat Nebraska last year.
In Marvel terms, we're talking about like the guy from Iron Man 2.
Mickey Rourke.
Yeah.
Mickey Rourke.
Whiplash.
Also good in the 90s.
Whiplash. That's what we're going for. Speaking on the Huskers, we will chat with Bryan Christopherson of Husker 24/7 coming up here in just a bit. But if you do have some villains that you think could be coming up, make sure you're hitting up our social channels at Happer Show on Twitter and head over to the chats online on our YouTube page as well as at zonetv.live. It's the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com. 1620 The Zone. Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen in once again. Try to see if we can get a hold of Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7. Coming up here in just a bit. We do have more news coming out of the media day happening right now with Husker football. Plenty happening, including running backs coach E.J. Barthel saying that the team had to learn the DNA of running the ball last year, and now they know the standard of how to run the ball. Gives you the question of what else do they need to learn to keep moving forward in running the football? What is the next layer of running the football?
I don't like that quote. To be honest with
so they had to learn the DNA of running the ball last year, but now they know the standard of how to run the ball. So the next step is how to run with the ball.
Yeah.
We did talk about their fumbling issues earlier.
I don't love that quote.
Yeah, a little bit tough.
I get you're trying to protect your guys. I get that, but I get you're also trying to say, hey, boy, this was a real bleep show when I got here. I had to teach these guys how to tie their shoes, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like that.
There are some better quotes. How about this? Okay. Coach Barthel saying on Ramir Johnson, it's the best he's seen him since he's been here. But then you also remember he's coming off an injury. This is the classic training camp quote of, best shape of his life. I've never seen him play as good as he is right now. So you're getting a little bit of the normal coach speak, but I think there's always a good thing here or there too. Also saw as well that the running backs coach for the Huskers had mentioned that his goal was to get 3 guys ready for the season. He feels that the team is there, and then specifically mentioned that a 4th running back is also in the mix, ready to go. The 4th running back is Dante Dowdell. Now, does that mean that he is the 4th string running back? Or does it mean that he just needed a little more time to get prepared? I fear that we have overlooked this running back room a little bit too much in terms of just general audience of Husker football fans, right?
There's 4 of them, 5 of them in there. Yeah. Certainly one of them will step forward and become the running back this year.
And people have always clamored for this running back by committee. It is good to share the rock, to have talented running backs. But wouldn't it also feel great to just have a guy, to just know that you've got a guy that you can hand the ball off in the 4th quarter to 10 to 15 times? Just you feel secure about it. Nebraska hasn't had that in a long time. Probably Divina Zigbo, and even before him, Amir Abdullah, Rex Burkhead. I mean, these are all the names of running backs from late 2000s to the start of the Scott Frost era. We are very far away from where that 1,000-yard annual rushing game usually was. And you also got glimpses of who the next guy was. And I always specifically remember, too, Rex Burkhead, Amir Abdullah. You had such a deep running back pocket there. Terrell Newby was in that mix for a little bit. And you knew Rex was the guy, Amir was the next one, and Newby could be that guy after. Now, Newby didn't turn into the world beater that could be the expectation. But then as it moved forward, it always felt like that next piece was going to arrive after that. So the running backs still in question, but more media stuff still continuing on. We do see more photos and some more galleries and everything coming online as well from most of the media. Thomas Fidone showing off some speed and footwork. Looks healthy there. Just hope that less injuries can be arriving here coming for the Nebraska football team. And also a fun one here from Kevin Suits saying that quarterback Jalen Gramstead earned the nickname Jalen Football from assistant coach Garrett McGuire. He says the NAIA Player of the Year is on the fast track now to becoming a coach. So lots of good stuff happening from the media days right now. And joining us on the phone line for 1620 The Zone, Bryan Christopherson of Husker 24/7. Bryan, how's everything going?
Doing well. Busy day over here. So, just popped out of Garrett McGuire was talking. So I'm ready.
Perfect. Well, we appreciate your time. We know it's been a busy couple of weeks here. What have you seen so far from today's session? What's been a big takeaway as the media had a glimpse on one of those half-shell practices for the Big Red.
Yeah, I think a big thing that'll probably be under the microscope and analyzed over the next couple of weeks is the left tackle spot, on the offensive line, when you have sort of the first tough injury news of this fall with Teddy Prohaska last week. And, now we have to see if Turner Corcoran can be that guy who could be available the whole year and bring up his level of play, or else, you might be calling on some younger guys there like Gunnar Gatula. I know Rule mentioned a few days ago was getting some snaps with the ones, and that seemed to be the case today too. So that's an interesting storyline for an offensive line that has a lot of veteran parts, but to get through a season successfully and be good up there, you still might need a guy who's like a second-year player or something to give you some good reps at some point this season. So I think that was one of the interesting parts today, was just kind of looking at that offensive line and trying to figure out exactly what they're going to do at left tackle. And obviously, Corcoran being available, if he can be for the season, will be a big part of it.
And is that the biggest concern for Nebraska just about a week or a week and a half into fall camp? Is it the offensive line depth? Is it still defensive backs? Is there something else that the coaches have mentioned a couple of times that you're hearing might be more of a glaring hole?
To me, the tackle spot's one of the biggest things right now. Left tackle, yeah. I mean, just because you felt really good about it with Prohaska and both Corcoran available, and then after Prohaska goes down, it's one of those deals where you realize how quickly you can talk like in May or June about, there's a lot of depth at this spot. But then one key guy falls down and you're kind of like, okay, that makes me a little nervous now about what happens if this other guy goes down, and like, what's the chain reaction here? And so I think that position, I'm not saying to sound the alarms or anything. If Turner's ready to go during the season, he's a guy who's played a lot of football, and maybe one of the young guys is ready to step up. But left tackle is definitely something on my mind right now with this football team. I think they're going to be fine at that corner spot. It was pretty good news today to see Bly Hill. He had the yellow jersey on, but he's back on the field, and so he's going to enter that competition. Jeremiah Charles is a young guy they really like, and they can do a lot of different things with Marquise Buford where they want to play him. So I'm not too worried about the corner spot. Left tackle is an area that I'm looking at, and there's some guys in the second level of the defense who obviously got to step up. This is a big year for John Bullock. He's a veteran on this team, but it's only his second year as a linebacker. Makai Bayer, guys like that you really want to see take their game to the next level, and they're going to have the opportunity to do so in key roles.
And as you look just through social media right now, plenty of clips, plenty of talk about Thomas Fidone looking healthy, looking good speed with Raiola. They seem to be in sync. How big of an impact can Fidone have with Raiola in his first year, and especially in maybe some of those short yardage, you need to convert a third down, or even red zone targets?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think Fidone has a lot of confidence right now just because he was able to go through a full year and get through it. And, he had 23 catches for about 260 yards last year. And if you actually compare that to past Husker tight ends in their first year as a starter, those aren't bad numbers. Usually it's been kind of a slow burn at that position for a guy to build up to have an Austin Allen type, final season. And if you think about that, Fidone also got those numbers while dealing with a passing offense last year that frankly had subpar QB play. It's really exciting to think of what he can do if that quarterback position is more on target, and you also have some wide receiver weapons like Jalen Lloyd, who's developed his game, and Isaiah Nayor, who can, I think, take the top off of defense, to Corey Barney. Guys like that are going to open up opportunities, I think, for Fidone to get some good matchups and take advantage of it. So I do think he's going to have a very good statistical year if health is on his side. And I actually think Nate Borkercher's a guy everybody talks over who's going to have a solid year too at that tight end spot. So that's a position where you feel pretty good about it.
Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7, joining us today on the Connor Happer Show for 1620 The Zone. We did just get some more reports coming from the running back coach, E.J. Barthel, telling us a little bit more about what he feels with his running back group. Dante Dowdell getting a mention in there, saying that needed some time to kind of get ready, get prepped. What is his stake of the claim when it comes to maybe early season reps in game for toting the rock for the Big Red? Do you see him as maybe someone who will get in quickly?
Well, you can't count him out. I mean, what Barthel basically said today is you want to have at least 3 guys, and he separated it to 4 guys who have a shot to be within the top 3. He didn't rank anybody 1 through 4, but Dowdell was mentioned along with Ramir and Emmett Johnson and Gabe Irvin. And so, I mean, that's a good spot for him to be in, that he's at least got into that category where he's fighting for it now. I think when he first got here, the thing E.J. Barthel kind of talked about today was, it was sort of like, I'm going to just use my power to get stuff done. And now, he's adding more with his eyes and he's seeing the field a little bit better. And it's helping be a nice mixture with that power of what he can get done. So I think he gained some confidence that last week of spring ball, it felt like it was kind of a slow rise for him at first because you're trying to figure out what's what in a new program and the pass pro and all that stuff. But he had a nice spring game, and it seemed like he used that to blossom and have a good summer. And he's had a good camp so far, it sounds like. I asked the question because I'm always interested. It's those guys at running back, you're used to being the man all your life and in high school. And then you're in a position where you really got to fight, just to get in the top 3 and scrap. It's an interesting thing to take on mentally, but it sounds like he's got a good headspace to do it. So that's a good thing.
Last one for you here, Bryan, too. Saw some punt returners as well. We saw that 4 guys were taking maybe some punt return, kick return roles and reps. Did you see anyone that stood out amongst them? And I wanted to ask specifically about Malachi Coleman being included in that group too.
Yeah, I think, Sierra Wright's also back there too, which is, interesting. But I think Isaiah Garcia Castaneda could be one of the lead options, but Ja'Cory Barney also could be as well. Barney, to me, was probably most interesting of the guys catching punts, just because, people remember in the spring game, he took a kick return back and showed some really nice movement and ability to see the field, and would have scored a touchdown if he didn't, if he hadn't thought Tristan Alvano was on his team. He had the gray jersey on. So Barney's got sort of that just fascinating, athleticism and confidence and bursts that you are like, man, I'd really like to see what that looks like as a punt returner. Of course, that's a heady job. You've got to have a lot of wits about you and sort of a fearlessness to take it on. But it's definitely looking like he's getting a fair crack at it, along with IGC, I think, is sort of the experienced hand back there. So either one of those seem like lead options to me, kind of just reading the tea leaves. But we'll see where it goes. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda, if he got the job too, I think people would be excited just because that's a great story. I mean, a guy who got injured the first game last season, and now he's at 200 pounds, and he's just worked his butt off to be back there. And I know coaches and teammates are really proud of him.
Bryan, appreciate your time. Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7, joining us today on the Connor Happer Show. Enjoy your weekend. Have a great Friday, and let us know what else you're hearing come Media Day, or I guess the continuing media coverage going on in Lincoln today.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
All right. That was Bryan Christopherson, Husker 24/7, joining us. Coming up next, Bryan Munson talking more Husker recruiting from Husker Online. That's next on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone.
Bryan Munson.
Hey, long call. Comfy left zoom buster. 63 bang. Z Maui. Alert. Paradise Z Burger Y Wrap on one.
Husker Online on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone. Austin Jacobsen in for Happer today. Despite Happer being Husker Media Days, we decided to steal Bryan Munson in. Talk a little more with Husker Online's Bryan Munson. How you doing today?
I'm doing fine, man. How are you?
Doing all right. Feeling good. Good weather out there. And figured a good time to talk some recruiting. How are you feeling right now, just in general, about where the Huskers are in that 2025 class? Do you feel like they're trending in the right direction?
Well, I like where the class is at. I mean, obviously they have their hopes and their dreams are pinned to a few really highly touted recruits like David Sanders Jr. and Michael Terry III, Isaiah Mosey, even like a Christian Jones from Omaha West Side, that they may be the last linebacker that they have on their board, after missing out on Will Hawthorne earlier this week. I think the class, the way that it sits currently is solid. It hits all the areas. I think it's light. I think it's light in the linebacker spot. I think it's light, maybe more of a playmaking kind of outside receiver. I see both Jackson and Carpenter and Bryson Hayes playing. They can play a Z and they could play the slot, but I don't think you really got a true X. And I think even Mosey's more of a Z to slot guy. I think you would need still maybe to find a 6'2", kind of guy that can really go up and get the football potentially, like a Michael Terry, like a Deebo Samuel looking kind of guy. And then I think, you're still looking for, kind of that classic bookended, ready to go offensive tackle. I mean, clearly Nebraska's in, some jams right now when it comes to their tackle depth. You had Prohaska go back down again. Corcoran seems to be on some sort of a pitch count. He's still nagged up by a foot injury. You got Lutovsky, who's really more of an interior guy, but you're another tackle injury away from, kind of being in a disastrous kind of situation. And Nebraska needs to get creative potentially on how to kind of approach some of these offensive tackles because they need some help. They need some help right now. But I don't think they're trending in the right direction with David Sanders. I think they could be still in a pretty good spot with Michael Terry. I think they're in a very good spot with Isaiah Mosey. And I think that Nebraska has really kind of picked things up with Christian Jones recently. Although, he has a third team now that's on his list to go along with Nebraska and Oklahoma. He's also now looking again at the Miami Hurricanes. So going to be complicated and difficult to get him still. And I think that Nebraska may have to hope that they get on a little bit of a tear to start the season and reapproach some guys that may be committed to other schools.
Let's stay in state, talk some Christian Jones as well. What about any timeline updates? We did just hear the Miami update coming for the West Side linebacker. What's coming up for him? Is he going to keep his recruitment open all the way through the fall, through the West Side season, or is he hoping to make a decision sooner rather than later?
No, he told me, he's looking at probably like a mid-September, kind of date. I maybe wouldn't completely rule out, if he was going to take another official visit sometime in September. He might go to Wisconsin. Wisconsin was a school that he has talked to me about, maybe potentially needing to go take a look at. And it wouldn't surprise me, frankly, if he did do that. But I don't think he sees October without being, committed to a school. That's kind of where I kind of sit out of it. So possibility for another official visit, and probably, is going to commit sometime after that second, third week, on West Side schedule.
You were talking a little bit earlier, David Sanders Jr. If you asked Husker social media last night, they were convinced he was going to be a Husker, and the Volunteers are also convinced that he's going to be heading down to Rocky Top. Do you have a take as to where he could be leaning as of now, or is it really flip-flopping until his decision date next week?
No, I think it's getting kind of zeroed in here. One of the On3 national recruiting experts, Steve Wiltfong, put in a prediction for Sanders this morning to become a Volunteer. We have kind of felt like, on our side on Husker Online that we felt like Sanders was really kind of down to two. We really kind of felt it was Tennessee and Nebraska. But the one thing that kind of stands out, there has been just this relative, new kind of, or recently, started recruiting him, once Raiola was able to kind of establish things with him going back to like April, May. He's taken close to 10 visits to some of those schools in his top four or his final four. And he's only taken 2 to Nebraska, and he's not seen Nebraska on a game day. There's several other things there, just Nebraska had so many things working against him to be where I think Nebraska was at. Again, kind of a moral victory. It really goes to show you how great of a recruiter, Matt Rule and his staff, are. And I think even how competitive Nebraska's NIL situation is. However, all things being equal in the NIL space, the one part that's not is just the relative lack of recent success that I think Nebraska has. And, just the relative, like I said, the newness around, Sanders considering Nebraska, not taking a lot of visits to Nebraska. And then at some point, when you get down to the whether it's in August and you're making a commitment, the closer you get to your commitment date on your timeline, the more and more staying closer to home becomes kind of the thing that kind of, is the deciding factor. It becomes more weighted as you kind of keep going down that timeline. So I think that Nebraska is the furthest away out of all 4 of the schools. I think Tennessee is the closest. So it makes some sense that way too. But I think all the signs right now kind of add up to him playing in the SEC.
Bryan Munson of Husker Online joining us today on 1620 The Zone Connor Happer Show. I want to ask you more about some of those in-state guys. If you were to look into your crystal ball, are there any other people, any other guys in the state of Nebraska that could get an offer or could commit by the end of the fall season, maybe outside of Christian Jones?
I tell you what, a guy that intrigues me is going to be Ren Brown from Stanton, who's committed to Texas Tech. And obviously Nebraska has a need for an offensive tackle. I think Nebraska, and he did go down to Nebraska this summer for camp. And I think that he wanted to leave kind of the door open there for a little bit to kind of see if he was going to get that offer. And it didn't come. But I think that there's just, given the competition level, and he's a very late bloomer. He really shot up in height and size and put all this stuff really together. I think he's relatively raw. And I think that's what the difference is right now. When you even take a look at Sean Hammerbeck, that's on Nebraska's, commitment list as an offensive tackle. He's a fairly raw guy too, that played off, basically tight end, not really as an offensive tackle, but, is being seen as a guy that will slide down eventually, but he's light. He's not a real, full-legged, kind of dude. He's a 265, 275, pound guy, as opposed to, somebody's going to be playing that edge at 310, so Ren Brown is interesting. I'd keep an eye on that, maybe potentially, but then I think you're really down to, really, I would say Christian Jones. Like I said, I think the stock is up big time, with him, because Nebraska really needs to find another linebacker for the class. And maybe Nebraska takes a late flyer on a guy like Ren Brown, or takes a closer look at him.
Bryan, are you still there? We might have lost you for a second.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, perfect. I'm glad we didn't lose you. You're on a good train there, talking more in-state recruitment. We'll just move on to this next one. I wanted to ask you a little bit about some of the season outcome for this year. If Nebraska has the season people are expecting, they can get to a bowl game, things continue this trend up under Matt Rule, does that affect the 2025 and 26 classes moving forward? And I guess in the opposite way, if Nebraska maybe hits the same skid that they had before, do you feel as if maybe that will bring down the level of ability of some of these upper tier recruits that they've been going after?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more in terms of the possibility of improving their position versus, maybe hitting a couple of brick walls, because of injury and dropping a couple of unfortunate games. I don't think that that's really going to be a negating factor for a lot of players. It may not allow you, if Michael Terry, who has not discussed a timeline, if it maybe potentially gets you ruled out of his situation, because you're just not consistent enough or not winning at the basically the right rate, that's a possibility. I mean, that is definitely a possibility. But I think I see it a little bit the other way. I think Nebraska is gonna be able to play some football and score some points, and I think that they should be in a really great situation. Obviously, we'll see how everything goes. The week 2 against Colorado is the real test, and health is going to be the number one factor when it comes to getting into that game. So, recruits are going to be there. There's going to be a boatload of 2026 and 2027s that'll be there that night. We already kind of broke down nearly 10 guys that are going to be incredibly important to the 2026 group that should be in town that night. And there could be some other guys, 2025, like what you had mentioned, guys that maybe sneak into town that might even be committed to other schools. We might even let one of those cats out of the bag today in Tunnel Talk. So I think that there's going to be way more upside to starting out strong than potentially, any downside to current commitments if Nebraska trips out of the gate and maybe drops an ugly one here or there, or, just can't seem to kind of get out of their own way again, or the turnovers are still a problem. I think some of that is kind of to be expected. I think Nebraska fans are hoping that it gets corrected. And I think it will to some extent. It's just, is it all the way, or does it cause you to still drop a nasty game or two?
Love it all, Bryan. Appreciate your time. I have one more question for you, and a bit of a different flavor on this one. I was looking at everything you've been posting. Husker Online does a great job following all this recruiting and making sure that everyone's staying up to date if you bleed Big Red. Who's Nebraska's recruiting rival right now? Is there a school out there? It felt like a couple of years ago it was Colorado when Coach Prime was coming in and Rule had to go head-to-head against him. Is it still someone like Colorado, someone geographically close, or is there someone maybe more nationally Nebraska's really had to pit it out against?
It's such an interesting question. I do think it's still geographical, number one. I'm kind of stuck right now. I think Missouri is a little bit of a thorn in Nebraska's side. I think that they have a really nice in-state NIL program. It got a couple guys basically to commit to them a little bit earlier, guys that would have been huge in Nebraska's class, and a huge offensive tackle, and I think also a school that maybe gave Nebraska a few more problems 2 years ago than what they did this year, like Kansas State and Kansas, right? Like, I think Nebraska showed this year that they could dip into Kansas and get some and continue to get guys. Number one, and I think that those were some players that, particularly, Leipold in Lawrence was kind of hanging his hat on needing to get. And I think also, you close the border down because like a Jackson Carpenter at Lincoln Southwest, he was a top target for Kansas. And Kansas felt like they could go into the state, into Nebraska and go into the Huskers' backyard and get a guy like that out of Lincoln, and probably could have, if that offer didn't come when it did. So I'm going to still, the traditional Missouri, Kansas States are definitely those kinds of guys. I think Nebraska is still finding themselves in battles with, for regional guys. But more national guys, that's a little bit more all over the place. There are some names that kind of pop up a little bit more often than others, but I think that Matt Rule is changing the way he's recruiting, and I think he's really valuing the border states and the 500-mile radius a little bit more than what he did kind of come into as he took the job and got settled in Lincoln.
All right, Bryan, appreciate your time as always, chatting with us here on the Connor Happer Show. Have yourself a wonderful weekend, and looking forward to hearing some of these surprise visitors that could be popping into Lincoln here later this fall.
Sounds good, buddy. Hold that fort down while he's out, all right?
We'll try to. Apparently he's doing everything else and doing this show. But, hey, I'll take the reps. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Have a good weekend.
That was Bryan Munson, Husker Online, recruiting expert. Little interesting stuff that he had there. We'll chat about that coming up here as we kick off the noon hour, and maybe we'll even talk about that Colorado-Nebraska must-win matchup. That's next. Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, zonetv.live. $1620 The Zone. Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen, back yet again on a beautiful Friday at noon. Thanks for hanging out with us. 12:07, 69 degrees outside. Nice. Bit cloudy. Good weather out there. It is officially long sleeve season, and it's a bit sooner than I anticipated it.
No.
It's getting there. Halloween candy is being sold, Josh.
I just want to be the voice of reason on this radio station.
Please.
An unseasonably cool stretch does not dictate a change of season.
Sure.
And this is coming from me, a person who loves the changing of the guard.
But it was unquestionably hot the past week, too. I think that's the other part, is that last week we had to deal with temperatures that were 30 degrees higher than where we are now. So everyone is having to readjust. It's like when Florida gets their first 65-degree day and they break out the snow boots. That's how I feel right now. But I did it with a light hoodie. A light hoodie.
10-day forecast, we're looking at 85 to 90 degrees still. Like it, we're not there yet. Okay. Put your PSLs away, put your Uggs back in the closet. It's still summer.
The overcoat Carhartts need to stay hung up or in the bin.
Yeah.
Just keep them down.
Yeah,
keep them down.
I don't want. Hey, when do you go to the pumpkin patch?
Right. Which,
Although,
speaking of the pumpkin patch,
2 season passes, you can win them on our website 1620thezone.com.
That's right.
I will vouch for that.
You're already going to go.
Yeah.
So you might as well go for free.
Mhm.
It makes sense.
And I don't quite know what a season pass is, but it implies that you can go again and again and again all season long.
Yeah. Imagine, like, if you were to get a season ticket, right? You would go all the time. It's essentially free once you get it. Wanted to pick your brain a little bit, what Bryan Munson just talked about from Husker Online, that recruiting rival. Were you surprised to hear Missouri in that conversation? I haven't heard Missouri recruiting battles very often, but of course, Bryan, our expert, that's what
from the standpoint of, gosh, Nebraska just can't seem to break through in that state, in that Kansas City area, especially. It makes sense from there. Like that's a place where they've tried and tried and tried and just can't seem to consistently get guys out of the Kansas City area.
And Columbia to Kansas City is not necessarily the nicest drive in the world, neither.
Many would say it's downright terrible.
Right. But if you are going to make a drive from Kansas City to Omaha or to Kansas City to Lincoln, I think you can pitch that a little bit better. It's a good reminder as Husker fans that when you hear the recruiting rivals are not national rivals, right? The Huskers are not going up regularly against Georgia, Tennessee, other SEC schools, Florida State, USC on the West Coast, these sort of battles, but that their local rivals are still Kansas State, Missouri. In today's world of college football, I think that is a very significant sign as to where your program stands. And that's not to take a slight to Kansas or Kansas State or Missouri. They're winning football. They're doing things the right way. But this national perception that we have within our state borders of Nebraska football is clearly so different than what the general 16 to 19-year-old who wants to go play Division I college football would assume. We just heard as well, Jackson Carpenter of Lincoln Southwest may have considered going to Kansas. Those are interesting little just tidbits, right? It's maybe not the whole enchilada. It's just that one little bite that you get. And always, you just have that one. It sits with you a little bit longer.
Definitely.
Kind of on that same tone of conversation, saw this pop up yesterday. It's been the topic of conversation for the past couple of days on Twitter, at least. The must-win game category. And how many people have talked about Colorado as a must-win. Now, there's different aspects of this. I'm going to break it down in a hopefully way that doesn't make me sound comical. But I feel like there's can't lose, must win, and need to win games. And I know those they all sound the same.
Can't lose, must win, need to win.
Right. So,
boy, that sounds like yellow, canary, and goldenrod.
You're right. You're absolutely 100% correct. The reason I bring this up is yesterday saw across the different social channels, Dave Fight wrote about Nebraska's must-win game being with Colorado. Hi, Dave, indeed. Great work again.
Dave's great.
He reiterated in the article a couple of times about how he felt that Nebraska, every game is a must-win, especially where your program stands right now. I've made the argument before that the most important game of the season is actually week 1.
Oh, gosh.
And not because of the generic, well, you got to take it 1 week at a time. You got to make sure you win one before you can win another.
Well, every game's the most important game, so the most important game is the next game.
Sit down. Try to watch football.
Run the football, please. Where's our fullback?
The reason I say UTEP is one of the more important games of the year is just because the past 6 iterations of Husker football have felt like the opening game gives you the best showcase as to what the team will look like for the entirety of the season. Because I think back to Minnesota last year, turnovers, red zone issues, Couldn't score points, couldn't maintain drives. Defense was efficient, but couldn't get the stops at the end of the game when necessary. Didn't that sound like most of the 2023 Huskers? And it was a microcosm in that one moment there with Minnesota. So with this entire conversation of must win, need to win, can't lose games, Dave put it great that maybe the biggest aspect Nebraska needs to get over the hump in is actually the national stage. Maybe it's stage fright Nebraska's had. Dave found the stat that Nebraska has been woefully bad in these national spotlights. The last 10 years, Nebraska is 3-28 in games televised by one of over-the-air networks, including ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC. That includes a 1-8 record on Fox's Big Noon Kickoff and 0-5 in network night games. It sounds like Bo Pelini's firing just kind of continued a little bit longer there for the past decade.
Boy.
It's bad. 3-28. Makes you remember those times getting blown out by Wisconsin. It just resonates in your head a little bit longer, right?
It has scarred a little, yes.
And I'm glad we move on to that, because this is where I think so many Husker fans are so preoccupied with the Colorado matchup, because it is a rivalry game. It is the most important game on the schedule in the first 7 games. It's the one game you can point to right now and say, if there is going to be an obvious blemish, it will be Colorado. And maybe not even because Colorado is the better football team overall. Last year, record-wise, Colorado was a game behind Nebraska in the final standings. But yet Colorado won one of their 4 games in Boulder against Matt Rule's Huskers, and essentially was one of the reasons Nebraska did not make a bowl game last year, when you look at just strictly in wins and losses. But are those the games that we just remember because they were frustrating losses, because they were ones we needed to win? Or were they losses that we remember because of how frustrating the game was in general? I want to give you a couple of examples of this. So I'm going to throw it back even to 2009. 2009, great season. Everyone, thinks of that 10-4 year as, the next step for Nebraska's evolution. Bo Pelini had just gotten the team under wraps. The defense was excellent to elite. They had an all-world player in Ndamukong Suh graduating. They had great quarterbacks coming up and freshman Taylor Martinez the next season. What is the one loss you remember the most of that year? Outside, let's go regular season. All regular season, what's the loss that you recall the most from the 2009 season?
Turn my mic on here. Sorry. I don't want anyone to hear me typing. I'm sorry. Regular season, you said?
Regular season, because the Texas one is going to reign supreme.
Right. Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech, right in Blacksburg.
Yeah.
You leave one receiver open, he runs down, and then Tyrod Taylor makes a fantastic play. Do you remember the 2009 team losing at home to Texas Tech by 20 points?
No.
But you would say that was a game they probably needed to win.
Yeah, probably.
Weird how we kind of forget some of these games, right?
Is it the pain of the way Nebraska lost to Virginia Tech, or
was it because it was one of the most anticipated games on the schedule? Yeah. It was a top 25 matchup. College Game Day considered going there. Nebraska was 2-0 entering the contest. They were a top 25 team for the first time in a long time. People felt like everything was going in the right direction, and then boom, they fall flat. How about this one in 2016? I'm not going to make you remember the Mike Riley years off the top of your head, but which of these games sticks out the most to you? Was it Nebraska ending their season in which they started 7-0 in a 40-10 loss to Iowa? Or was it losing 62-3 to Ohio State in Columbus? Both those games pretty important, and some would argue Iowa unranked that season. Ohio State, you lose to the number 6 team in the country. But Iowa, you lose by 30 points in a season in which you were in the top 10.
I don't remember either of those.
There you go. Let's go to 2019. One of the critical years of the Frost era, right? Year 2.
Of which there were many.
Year 2, people felt good. South Alabama had 3 non-offensive touchdowns. People were a bit shaky. Adrian Martinez, second year, not running the ball as much. What's going on? What's the loss that you recall the most from that season? There's a couple. Year 2.
Colorado.
Right? At Colorado.
The twist.
Yep. Well, it actually would have been year 2, so in Colorado, not the twist.
Oh, not the twist.
Not the twist. This would have been Mo Washington down the sideline and a flea flicker on their own 2 to throw it 98 yards the opposite way. So again, but Colorado is significant. What about when they lost to Ohio State on game day, 48-7? Or when they lost to an eventual top 10 Minnesota team on the road, 34-7?
There's so many of those Ohio State games that if it isn't the comeback, I don't really remember it.
And again, I'm just going to keep bringing these up. We'll speed rush through a couple of these next ones. So 2021 at Illinois, week 0, should have been in Dublin, wasn't. People would say, oh, chalk that for a win. You've got that one in the bag. Nope. Fumble out of the end zone, safety, whatever happened in that play. And then 80-yard rush, still not enough to be able to come back to win. What about against Michigan? 32-29. The most electric environment Memorial Stadium has been in a long time. Couldn't get the win done against a top 5 rated Michigan team. On the road at Minnesota, losing another one in close fashion. I don't even remember that game, to be honest. I pulled that one up and had completely forgotten how many times Nebraska's lost to Minnesota. 2022, the Dublin Northwestern game, the game that killed Scott Frost. Losing to Illinois 26-9 at home. And then this past season, falling on the road at Minnesota 13-10. At Colorado. You'll remember those ones, right? First 2 losses, an 0-2 start. But then the start of the losing skid at the end of the season at Michigan State 20-17, a team that was written off by the end of the season were the Spartans. I wanted to categorize all of these games coming up for Nebraska fans that are listening as, instead of saying there must-win games that are obvious, you must win against Colorado, because if you don't, your whole trajectory changes. Yes, you still have plenty of games to go. These are all so different. But what about we should win these games?
You cannot puff your chest. If you are 6-1 and you have lost only to Colorado, I would say you can't really puff your chest out and try and convince the nation that you're back.
Yes. Not only not back, but even if they start receiving top 25 recognition at 6-1, people will always go back and say, do you remember that night game on week 2? You lost to Colorado.
Stinky Colorado.
It will get brought up multiple times. And it's the Colorado factor as well. They'll always get talked about. So what about these you should win, your need to win games for this season? I've outlined 4. You can tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay, this is need to win.
Need to win.
Okay.
So these are ones that you need to win. You should get 7 wins just from these. UTEP, Northern Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, UCLA. Now I could make a good argument. I could see where you change out UCLA and Colorado. But to be completely fair, the Colorado game feels like it's going to be more level because of the added emotion to the game and everything else that will come with it. It will be a circus. It won't be football. It will be a circus.
Tell me what Rutgers' record is when they play.
Rutgers will probably be undefeated when they come in.
I mean,
that is fair. Good point. But again, it's the perception of fans when they enter in. They see Rutgers and they think, oh, Rutgers.
Dub.
Easy. And how many times has Rutgers given a team a run for their money, including Nebraska, over the past few years? I can't tell you how many times, even just being a college student or growing up, once Nebraska made the transition to the Big Ten, that you started to see Rutgers every time. Rutgers, we're fine. We're good. I saw a prediction post that had Rutgers at 10-2 yesterday. People are giving them legitimate chance.
Rutgers has never beaten Nebraska. Is that right?
Wow. Is that true?
6-0.
Good for Nebraska.
Good for Nebraska.
Yeah. The birthplace of college football might be Lincoln.
Definitely college football's daddy. Am I right, everybody?
But it's just this whole conversation of must-win games. Again, always go to the coach speak. Every game is important, blah, blah, blah. But what you said, Josh, I think completes the point that I've been trying to make for the past 22 minutes in saying that if you are 6-1 and your blemish is to Colorado, or you are 6-1 and your 5-2, or whatever the case is, and your blemishes are to Rutgers and Colorado, people will perceive you differently, regardless of how those outcomes look. The national conversation will always be different, regardless of what you are going into if you lose to certain teams. It's almost the Miami factor. Miami has to deal with this every single season because they'll drop a game to Duke, and Duke has been good and competitive. But people will go, Miami shouldn't lose to Duke, so you should not have that happen.
Even though Miami has proven since joining the ACC,
they are not very good.
Right. Very similar to Nebraska, where we're working off of reputation when we look at the schedule and not like actual data.
The toughest part of this entire conversation is exactly what we just talked about with Bryan Munson a little bit ago, is that we can all perceive something differently. I'm only 27, and I still think of Nebraska as a big powerhouse and one that deserves the national limelight every time that College Game Day appears on my television. But to an 18-year-old who has only grown up watching Nebraska not make a bowl game, things have to turn around quicker and faster than ever. And in this next year, I think this is one of the most critical years you could have in Nebraska football because you have a chance to be able to perceive yourself differently moving forward in the Super Conference era. And if you can't, you'll get left behind very quickly. Even as good as you can be a developer, you have to have high-level recruits and high-end talent to be able to compete year in and year out. The teams like Illinois and Wisconsin, Iowa, that used to go 3 years and their senior class was their fourth year, and that was the year that they could be a top 5 team. If they can keep that model going, that's great. I'm not sure Nebraska wants to be in that model, though. Must-win games, need to win, all that good stuff. We've still got more coming up next, as we'll have Steve Sipple of Husker Online joining us here in just a little bit, as well as he will tell us more about conversations happening today with more media availability from Husker practice, what he's seen, and we'll ask him maybe some more on that Colorado matchup. All coming next right here. Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone and 1620thezone.com.
let's get back to the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
Here comes the clown.
1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, zonetv.live. Austin Jacobsen in for Connor Happer once again, and producer Josh joining us. It's a bit cooler here in the studio as it is outside. It's the shorts were a bad idea. My knees are getting cold. I'm getting locked up.
It is normally fairly stuffy in this room. Feels pretty good today.
Yeah, it does. Feels a little bit better as well. Media stuff still going on here. We will talk later with Steve Sipple in the 1 o'clock hour. Just about all things happening with Nebraska. And, of course, Husker football, which we do have another wardrobe update, which I know you were very excited to hear about.
I didn't know this was I guess I shouldn't be surprised when something triggers the fan base, but boy, we're living in a soft-ass society.
Yellow hats? Is that what you see?
Yeah.
Yeah, yellow hats is a very interesting choice there.
You have seen other football programs before, right?
Yes.
Nebraska fans?
No. Only the ones we played.
Oh, well, you know, the colors are scarlet and cream. You could let the door hit you where the good Lord split you if you ain't wearing scarlet and cream.
Black, not scarlet or cream. We seem to be fine with black.
Mm-hmm. Lots of black.
Mm-hmm. But yellow triggering the fan base today.
Yeah. And if you have seen it on the social pages so far, Garrett McGuire, receivers coach, donning a yellow hat. He said, quote, "I want to start a trend." What trend he's starting, I don't know. I'm not a fan. Not a fan of hats. I've already made this claim before. Not a fan either of the yellow. It's not my color. Not my color. SpongeBob SquarePants, not a fit for me.
It's not for fashion. It's for functionality.
It is, yes. And so maybe he's just trying to be pointed out. I mean, he is the youngest baby-faced assistant coach on the staff.
He's not tall enough to be seen by the adult players that he coaches, so he has to stand out in a different way, and he has chosen a yellow hat.
Yeah. If it works for you,
it's fine.
Who are we to judge?
Haven't there been green hats on the sidelines?
And there have been green jerseys and plenty more. Oh, don't forget blue outlines. Blue outlines.
That's right. That's right.
Big difference there for a big memorial at Memorial Stadium.
All I'm asking for is consistency in your outrage.
Well, and then on top of that, too, Marcus Satterfield, any updates on his outfit? He looks like a normal person again, so that's good. He wasn't wearing
a big, heavy sweater?
Nope, not his fraternity look. But for whatever reason, on the coolest day of the summer, he has donned a short-sleeve shirt. To each their own.
Oh, you got to show him you're tough, right?
Yeah, that is true. Yep. It's just like when Rule would come out when it's snowing outside, just in his sleeveless hoodie, which the sleeveless hoodie is one of the most awkward things you could ever just buy off of a rack. I can understand it being given to you.
I have been gifted many sleeveless hoodies.
But to go out and buy a sleeveless hoodie is a very interesting thought process.
At first, I was like, oh, thanks, guys. I'm never going to wear this. And then, I found some uses for it. Like, okay, it's chilly in the house, but,
but I had a good pump. I had a good arm day, Yeah.
So I'll wear that around. If I'm just going to the grocery store or something, sleeveless hoodie's fine.
Yeah. Do you have a grocery store, not go to I'm not saying you change into it, but you have an outfit, you're like, it's the grocery store. This is what I'm going in.
Oh, no, there's a bar. There's a bar for leaving the house.
Right. Okay. All right.
I'm not a monster.
Fair enough. Fair.
He said while wearing a Deadpool shirt.
It's a great shirt.
With
riding a unicorn.
Riding a unicorn floaty in a swimming pool.
Yeah. With watermelons.
There's a bar for leaving the house.
Yeah, there is a bar. There's a bar. Oh, I'm wearing a Carolina Panther hoodie right now. So this is the most disgusting thing I could find.
We gotta talk about that.
About being an actual Panthers fan? It's not a bit.
3 points in the preseason last night against the Patriots.
The Patriots should start. Is it not Hendon Hooker? Joe Milton?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. I actually agree with that.
Joe Bazooka, as the kids say. He's fantastic. He threw 2 touchdowns yesterday.
You're gonna be bad anyway. Just let the kid learn.
Well, it was a shame to see that the team with the 3rd overall pick just dismantled the team with the 1st overall pick that had to give it up because they're a terrible franchise last night. And I know it's preseason, but my team doesn't score any points. What's the point of cheering for a team that doesn't even give you a reason to get excited? It would be something if they should pay no money to their defense. They should only give money to their offense. So that way they could at least give me some chance to smile once on Sundays. Instead, I suffer, and they're terrible. They're awful.
Oh, boy. I mean,
a lot to take in there, sir. Sorry, I didn't mean to get emotional on this show about the Carolina Panthers on August 9th.
No, this is actually kind of what I wanted to discuss. Just how there are terrible teams.
And the Panthers are two of them.
But then there's
the offense and defense.
Like, man, just you're not scoring in the preseason. Like, hard to get up.
Well, and don't forget
for the season.
They hired an offensive coach to help out. And you know what he said when he didn't play any of his starters and he had 33 inactive players on last night's game? He went out to the media and said, well, our offense isn't functioning well enough in practice to put out. Sir, I don't know if you know this. These are professional athletes. Functioning offense? Sir, you're the offensive guru. You came from the offensive coordinator job. What do you mean the offense isn't functioning? Did you just put in the playbook yesterday? He said Bryce Young hasn't fully grasped the scheme. We're still working on the little things. He legitimately said this to the media. We are working on snapping the ball, lining up, preset formations. That's crazy. Omaha West Side could probably beat the Panthers just because their offense is functioning right now.
I feel it is my duty as a friend of the audience to immediately inform you. FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Happer. The Carolina Panthers win total currently sits at 5.5. Under is plus 102.
Under.
In a bit of breaking news, the FanDuel Sportsbook is quite literally just giving money away, and you could have some. You have to go to Iowa because of Tom Osborne.
Right, thank you.
But, I mean, they've got the Casey's in Council Bluffs are magnificent facilities. Not like the ones in Omaha that don't have any food on the shelves.
Which is insane. Absolutely crazy. You pride yourself on being a resource to communities. You showcase and sell on all of your merch and advertising these beautiful dockets of pizza and chicken strips and hot sandwiches, and yet there's nothing. There's never anything. Nothing to be served.
The coolers are always empty.
Listen, I've given up my Casey's allegiance. I have moved on upwards.
Oh, no, small town Casey's?
Small town Casey's are
amazing.
Great.
Amazing.
Yep, 1,000,000%.
Something about, I don't know. Look, far be it on me to tell someone else how to do their job. But whoever runs the Casey's in Omaha, you're quite possibly maybe the worst person at their job in this country.
That's great. Oh, boy.
I mean, you can't even get bottles of Diet Coke on the shelf.
No. And then whenever a fountain drink goes out, they never come back. They just put a little sticky note that says, unavailable, do not use. And they're gone for months.
Now, whoever does run the Cases in Omaha is going to come back at me with, well, the supply chain.
Womp, womp.
Let me tell you what every other business and Casey's in America has found. A way around the supply chain.
Yeah, interestingly enough, they figured it out. Yeah, I've had to change my allegiances in gas stations, but you are absolutely correct. Anytime you are driving essentially from Kearney to Des Moines, maybe to Iowa City, and they even had Casey's in Missouri, anytime you see just that one shining light of the Casey's, the old Casey's General Store logo on the interstate or a lonesome highway, and you can pull in there, they are stocked to the brim with stuff.
One bathroom behind the counter. That's the Casey's I strive to find.
And it might have a key. It might have a key.
You might have to ask the clerk for the key. Boy, I really went American History X on Casey's there. If you know, you know. Boy, I've never done a radio show with someone who would understand that reference.
Nope, I get it.
It's quite liberating.
I'm sure. How do you deal? Do you need a therapeutic session without Happer here? I mean, the man is just constantly trolling you right now. He is just going up and down the interwebs.
Austin, be careful. He's listening right now.
Sorry, Hap. Sorry.
We love you. We missed you.
Sorry, Happer. Thank you for the chance.
Hope that beautiful baby's doing quite well.
I mean, he's They're literally posting podcast clips of him from home.
The aggregators have access to Connor Happer. I said, I'm just going to leave him alone. He's on paternity leave. Like, he's got more important stuff.
Can we have that for a poll question? Will Connor Happer ever return?
Where's Connor? Yes or no?
That's great. I'll take it. I love it. I love it. Oh, man. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry your other half has just moved on. And
no, I'm okay with it.
Are you cool with this open relationship that Happer's having with you?
Boy, it really does feel that way.
It does, right? Mm-hmm. He just gets to go out and date all these other people and gets to showboat.
Meanwhile, I'm at home washing and drying the dishes.
And you're trying to make it work with so many other people.
Well, if he's happy,
a rotating door of people just keep coming in your life.
If he's happy, I'm happy. What an apt comparison.
Yeah, right?
Did not realize that about this. Huh. All right.
There's plenty of poll questions you could go, but it's about phrasing it right, right?
You got to find the right one.
Because you just can't tweet from the Happer Show account. You can't. You couldn't possibly just tweet this and ask a poll question saying, is Connor Happer in an open relationship? You can't ask that poll question.
Nope.
You can't do that.
We take pride in great out of context poll questioning.
But you just can't do that one.
That's a little too far.
It's in line
there.
with the does Matt Rule match Donovan Raiola's freak?
Yeah. Man, I wish I could have asked that one.
Oh man. That was a good rant. I feel we both got something out there.
Great segment.
I was holding the Panther thing in, and I know no one cares about the Panthers here. It's just me. If I get one hashtag keep pounding in the chat, that's fine. I'll take it. It's not coming. I know it's fine. And I'm glad that you got your gas station vibe out of you.
I've gone off on Casey's before and will again.
Good.
But
Please do. Please.
I haven't forgotten about you, Casey's.
Never forget. All right. Well, coming up, we'll do some quick bites for your lunch hour.
Nom.
More Diva receivers. Maybe some Texas A&M reporting. Whoa. What's going on there? And some Big Ten teams that could be under the most pressure. It's coming next on the Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com, zonetv.live.
The Connor Happer Show. Follow us on Twitter @Happer Show for all the latest news and views. We may even say something interesting once in a while.
Unlikely.
Really, guys?
1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, Austin and Josh once again with your lunch quick bites. Getting you in and ready for excellent hour upcoming here on 1620 The Zone. I just came across this. I'm 2 days behind.
Wow, get with the times.
I know. 40 years since the United States had a man medal in weightlifting, and we got a bronze.
Hell yeah. And the guy who won it
does not look like a lifter.
Yeah, he doesn't. He doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
He looks more of a swimmer. I'll give him that. Just like I've seen only a couple of photos of him. He looks like he could. If you asked me what Olympic event does he do, I would have guessed swimmer.
Olympic weightlifting.
Usually
I expect a certain look.
Yeah.
I need to be curious about your training regimen if you're an Olympic weightlifter and all that implies.
Right.
Boy, this guy looks like not even like softball thick.
No.
Like just regular, like he looks like they plucked him out of a comic book shop.
Or they just got him, like he lifts at like an Anytime Fitness or like his college gym still. Like he just graduated, but he has just enough. Like he has a summer class to finish out.
Hey, you want to go to Paris?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I mean, why not?
I'll study abroad. It's fine.
Hey, sir, you used every 45-pound plate in the gym. Would you, you got anything going on? The Olympic stories are always great, but there's a lot of them. A lot of stories to keep track of. And I always love when an announcer will be like, you won't believe what we'll tell you next. I'll believe it. I'll believe it. I've heard just about everything.
Yeah, I'll believe just about anything.
They tried to get me with the lady who won one of the cycling races, and she was training for the triathlon, and she didn't make the triathlon, so she was like put into the whatever cycling race was, and she won. She's like, "Oh, I've never trained for this event." I mean, you kind of have.
You kind of have, yeah.
And remember, they said as she finished, "You wouldn't believe this story if we told you." Okay.
I mean, it is your job to tell me the story.
And I believe it because she's a world-class athlete.
Make it believable. I asked earlier this week about the steeplechase. You're familiar with the steeplechase?
I am, yes. I had a friend in college that ran it.
Oh, maybe you can help me with this.
Okay.
What is the instance where a coach says to a runner, you know what I think you would really excel in? Steeplechase.
Do you want to know the answer to this question?
Yes.
When they are a long distance runner, that's just not fast enough.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's how it goes. Yes.
I mean, that's how you get put on some of these teams is,
yes,
quite frankly, you're not good enough for the main thing.
Right.
And
because no one in high school is training the steeplechase.
Right. No one is leaping over puddles and a track coach goes, there might be something there.
Hold on a second. What do you do to get better at this puddle leaping?
Yeah.
Pal.
What if I put a hurdle in front of that puddle? Do you think you could still leap over the puddle? Now it's a really big hurdle.
Yeah, you may have to climb.
Yeah.
Can you do?
It's okay to step on the hurdle and jump over.
Can you do half of a pull-up? Oh, okay.
Well, I've been struggling with the full pull-up, so maybe this is the exercise for me.
The steeplechase has to be one of those events that way back in the day people had to be really jazzed about, but now, it looks like a mockery of athleticism. It's like the 2-lap walk or whatever they do when, someone inevitably celebrates too early on the walk in the Olympics.
Yeah, the race walking.
It should be
that they do.
How do I say this? There's no way to say this politically correct. I don't think.
Oh, hello.
Yeah.
Careful. You got shows next week.
I know.
I don't want to have to scramble to fill in.
You're right, but I've taken a bite. I have to chew it through now.
Yeah.
Having a six-pack and being like an Olympic race walker is a very, very, that's not fair. I don't think that's fair.
Okay.
We need to find a different level of athlete for our race walkers, right?
No, this isn't for you. Sure, you're like legally allowed to be in this race, but you're going against the spirit of what this is.
Yes, thank you. You are reading exactly what I'm trying to say. Thank you. Yeah. The spirit of race walking is like mall walking, right?
Right.
Like my grandmother should go to race walking. Or people from the mid-2000s who thought Black Friday deals were worth getting run over for. Like those people should race walk. People that train and run actively should not race walk.
I couldn't agree more.
Okay.
Seems unfair.
I agree. They have performance enhancing.
Mhm.
They're just athletes.
What performance enhancer are they using? Exercise. They do it all the time.
How dare they?
Yeah.
You can only walk to train.
Yeah.
Other quick bites I wanted to get to. Did you see that Diva receivers are back? I requested and the universe granted it to me.
Very quick turnaround.
I know.
Normally we have to wait months for a turnaround like this.
CeeDee Lamb coming in a new form of Diva receiver. Jerry Jones put out a video interview, which Jerry Jones can just do whatever he wants. Jerry's world.
He can. Doesn't mean he should.
No. When asked if CeeDee Lamb's contract was a priority, he said, not now. Not at this moment. He said, we'll get to it later. So CeeDee Lamb quote tweeted the video and said, LOL. And then he took America's team off of his Twitter bio, which is, I hate when people report on it, but I love to see it.
I love to know.
Yeah, I like to know. I hate that it becomes like reported news. Andy changed his Twitter background photo from a photo of himself and I believe Dak Prescott to him and Hollywood Brown, who local fans would know is also a Kansas City Chief.
I definitely knew that.
Hollywood Brown has changed his profile photo to the same photo. So, of course, Chiefs fans are clamoring, we got CeeDee Lamb.
He's coming.
He's coming to KC. Hope you like barbecue.
No disrespect.
That's not how all fans sound. Promise.
I'm just going to go ahead and ask the question.
Please.
What the hell's going on in Dallas?
Is Jerry broke? He don't want to pay people?
If he's broke, he needs to pay those gentlemen right now.
Yeah.
Because if he's not careful, it could cost $80 million a year for Dak Prescott.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you really want like the 14th best quarterback to be $80 million quarterback?
Every single day you wait, Dak Prescott gets more expensive.
Yeah. Or
you should know how this works.
Maybe they've just given up on Dak Prescott. Maybe they're done with him. I would be. Of course, I'm a Panther fan, so what do I know? I'll trade you. I would actually, you know what? As a member of the Panthers organization, Jerry Jones, I know you're listening because any sports talk show that mentions you can call in now. I don't care. I will trade you directly. Bryce Young for Dak Prescott.
I heard you talking about my Cowboys.
You can have him.
That's all that matters.
You'll take him.
Is being talked about. Not winning, not functioning properly as an organization.
Well, and don't forget, they were all in. They're all in this season. That's why they brought back Zeke, who had to sit out yesterday's practice because he was tired.
Well,
it's a case of being old.
As a heavier guy, yes, let me tell you, the heat and exercising in the heat does lead to overexertion.
You know what? That's mean. I'll put it this way.
What?
Ezekiel Elliott should be our next race walker for the USA. That's the body type I'm looking for.
That is the body type.
That is the body type.
My God.
He can do it in his half uniform.
He's 29 years old.
Are you kidding me? He's 2 years older than me.
He's 29.
Oh, I could have sworn he was like 35.
And he's donezo.
Oh, boy.
That's amazing.
Could you imagine someone, I mean, again, I'm not there yet, but if someone looked you in the eyes at 29 years old and just like, hey, you're done.
I would absolutely take great offense to it.
I melt into a puddle.
I totally get why the athletes, like, especially the running backs, they hang on and like, no, I'm not done at 29. I'm 29.
I still like to play video games like other kids.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's brutal. The last one I had on here for some quick bites for lunch. You may have came across this yesterday. I just want to ask the open-ended question. Why are Texas A&M reporters giving out Trev Albert's contract numbers? Why would they do that? You know, Texas A&M, well known for tweeting out contracts. Well known for talking about how much someone would be owed money if they were removed.
Sure seems like they don't like him.
They're having a tough time. They're having a tough time.
Bit of a rocky adjustment period between Trev Alberts and the fan base.
Now, apparently this was all kind of brought up because of a little bit of a changing of language well, not quite. Changing of language when it comes to some of the coaches' contracts because Trev added in that little extra detail about if the NCAA or SEC were to change their tone or dialect or whatever the case is. That sort of thing. But it also got thrown in here by Steve Berkowitz that Texas A&M agreed to pay Nebraska $4.12 million for Trev Alberts, and his annual base salary is $2.2 million through 2029. Interesting. Wonder why that would get all brought up. Now, no one actually got too mad in the comments, I don't think. I don't see anybody too upset here, but Texas A&M Twitter is always good for something like that, aren't they?
It's not a cult.
No, not a cult. I like this. Actually, we did get one good tweet. This Andy fellow tweeted and said he fired how many people he fired how many people that make less than $100,000 annually to save money.
Well,
that's a darn good point, Andy.
That is a tough look.
That is a very good point. Gig 'em, as the kids say.
That is what they'll say.
That is just a weird place, Texas A&M. Not a Big Ten school. Couldn't handle it.
People forget.
Just some quick lunch bites for you there. We'll see if we can get the show back on the rails in the next hour. We will have Steve Sipple joining us from Husker Online as they wrap up the Nebraska Media Days from today's practice. We'll talk a little bit more of those media days. We'll get to the Big Ten teams under the most pressure for the upcoming season and wrap up the show with poll questions and what to watch. All coming next, 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show. 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, new hour and freshest of takes coming your way. Austin Jacobsen back in. Last hour for me for the week. Be back again next week as well. And producer Josh helping us out. Hey, Josh.
Hi, how we doing?
Do you want to go recruits or mom's tweeting? What do you want?
I prefer when those two stories intersect, but they don't.
I wish
here.
they don't.
I guess let's go with the recruiting story.
All right. Well, Nebraska has flipped the commitment from 4-star receiver Isaiah Mosey. He was committed to Oregon and is now flipped to Lincoln. The 6', 200-pound receiver from Lee's Summit, Mo, had been committed to Oregon since April and just announced over on the X page by Hayes Fawcett.
I mean, that's the guy.
Yeah,
right?
He is the busiest man in America, right?
I'd like to know what that operation looks like.
I think he's got it down. I'm not calling him out by any means, but these graphics relatively all kind of look the same.
Bit of a formula.
Yeah, which, I mean, they look great. They're fantastic. I couldn't do them. But he definitely has a format in which he just picks and places some of these, kids into.
Bit of a graphic designer myself, and I like to go with, original ideas each and every time out.
Oh, yeah. You're a true artist. Yeah, you'd never want to do that. But again, big one for Nebraska. 4-star receiver Isaiah Mosey has now flipped his commitment from Oregon to Nebraska. So big get there. We talked to Bryan Munson earlier in the show, and he said those marquee receivers is one spot that Nebraska was looking to improve upon. Michael Terry's still out there as well, so we'll see if maybe he could make a commitment. Other things happening as well across the Twitterverse. Jason Tatum's mom getting in to the conversation on 0 minutes.
Good. This is what the discourse needs.
So Dick Vitale tweeted, "Someone please let me know, is Jason Tatum injured as he hasn't received the playing time you would expect an all-NBA player to get?" And Jason Tatum's mom provided her insight. She said, "No, he's not. But if you find out what's going on, please let me know. Unacceptable and makes no sense."
I mean, it makes no sense.
Yeah. My mom actually tweeted the same thing at the Connor Happer show yesterday when you let Jack Mitchell in.
Why aren't you playing my boy?
It is unacceptable and makes no sense why Austin Jacobsen is not on the Connor Happer show.
We could put out one of those graphics on a day you're not here. Austin Jacobsen, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 minutes.
Please do.
I don't know if Mrs. Tatum knows this, and this is coming from a Boston Celtics fan. Team USA is 5-0.
Yes, indeed.
Some might say it doesn't matter if your son has played or not.
Yeah,
as long as the team is winning.
I do like the addition of this. Feels so small town high school, right? They have a great Casey's. It serves the pizza after the football games.
There's stuff on the shelves and in the coolers.
But it's like she's texting this directly to Steve Kerr. This is unacceptable.
Hey. My guy needs his minutes.
Right.
For what? You just won a championship.
It is quite literally the pinnacle of sports in the Olympics.
Your guy's going to get a gold medal.
I also love the addition of it's almost Facebook commentary, right? If you find out what's going on, please let me know.
Let me know. I can't get an answer.
I gotta know. I gotta know.
I got calls into Steve Kerr and no response.
I wonder how far away contact list wise is she from getting to Steve Kerr? Because Jason Tatum probably has his number, but won't give it to his mom.
No. Why would you?
What are the chances Jason Tatum's mom has texted Jason Tatum asking for Steve's number? High? Lukewarm?
I believe it is more of a scenario of, hey, if you want me to say something, if you need me to say something, just put the phone up to his ear. I'll do it. I'll do it.
I like that one.
Because you're my son and I would do anything for you.
He was just having like a vent session in the hotel room and she's like, I'll call him. Just tell me the word.
Just give me the number.
Give me the number.
Say the word.
I'll do it.
And I'll do it, baby. I'll do it.
No, Mom.
No,
I
Mom.
can't. I can't, Mom. I can't.
I got to take my bath.
Do we have any orange slices left over?
I want a snack, Mom.
Sorry, Jason. You can't have any orange slices. The team that played ate them all.
RG3 took all the croissants.
Oh, did he leave that croissant photo up? Have we confirmed that is still there?
Still very much up. He's still very much taking a victory lap on how hilarious he thinks it is.
Can we start a croissant watch timer? That photo will get taken down here sooner or later.
I mean, if
he pinned it. Never mind.
If it's not down yet.
What a guy. Way to go for it, dude.
He's leaning all the way into the bit, much like he leaned all the way into eating that croissant.
He is supporting that croissant on all angles. He's doing a fantastic job.
Like Jason Tatum's mom, supporting her son.
This is the hard-hitting journalism you come here for, folks.
That's right.
Don't ever forget that. Other things happening across the way. It's a little bit of a quieter day today, even with Husker media in full force. We've already heard from the running backs coach, EJ Barthel. We heard from Garrett McGuire,
who wore a yellow hat.
You're right. Sorry.
Yellow.
Groundbreaking stuff.
Oh.
And not even like the corn cob one. Straight yellow.
Yellow.
I did like the corn cob stuff. They should go more into that.
Yeah.
Like Husker baseball should go like AAA affiliate, and they should wear like corn jerseys. I'm not saying the Husker football team, because tradition. You only wear scarlet and cream.
Unless it's black.
Which we're in alternate uniform season right now. And we haven't.
Definitely. Many are waiting.
Yeah. We haven't gotten a whiff of one yet. Do you have a game? Do you want to take a bet on which game you think we're going to get?
All right, let me pull up a schedule for the millionth time. I'm having trouble memorizing it for whatever reason.
The problem is that we're already 7-0, so it's so hard to forget. Like, oh man, Rutgers. I mean, we play them like it could be any of those first 7 weeks.
I feel like the Illinois game is pretty likely. Illinois is doing a alternate jersey, which looks phenomenal. And those helmets are painted by a guy in Nebraska, apparently, which feels a little blasphemous.
Now, do you know where Imperial is? He's from Imperial.
The city?
The
town?
The town.
No, not a clue.
Yeah. The people of Imperial probably do not know how to get 1620 The Zone on their mobile app.
Okay.
It's a bit of a foreign concept to them.
Oh, well, we need to teach them. We need to bump those numbers up.
Yep. Could you imagine just a spike in Chase County in 1620 The Zone?
You're saying a bunch of places.
There you go. Sorry. If Purdue wasn't a road game, September 28th felt like a good one there.
Period.
Are we sure not Northern Iowa do the FCS school with your alternate jersey?
Wow, that's a long way away. Okay.
Yeah, it's quite a drive.
Like to gin up interest in the Northern Iowa game,
right?
We'll wear these weirdo uniforms for one night.
What about this? How about alternate reverse question? Worst game to throw the alternate uniforms in. Colorado. You can't be on national TV and have a chance of losing and be wearing an alternate uniform. Can't do that.
Oh yeah, because then people are like, "Oh, never wear it again."
Yep.
Burn them.
I would argue UCLA. They wouldn't do an alternate uniform for November though.
I mean, at Ohio State feels like a pretty bad. I always hate wearing the alternate on the road for whatever reason.
You don't like the surrender whites? I have no problem with the white on white uniforms.
I don't either.
I have no issue. I don't know why people have so much beef with them. In fact, when they played at Fresno State all those years ago with the surrender whites, I thought they looked great. In NCAA 14, I'd always change them to white on white.
Oh, hello.
Thought it was a good uniform. I thought it was a good look, but apparently I'm wrong. I wouldn't mind if they wore white at home. That would be sacrilegious.
Blasphemous.
They'd have to rename the field to Get Her Done Stadium.
Which they might, given that Pitbull sponsored
right
FIU stadium.
Well, alternate uniforms can't be week one. I feel like we would have already gotten that announcement, right? They want something to really load up.
You want the footage of Dylan,
right,
with the traditional uniform right out of the gate.
So I would say Northern Iowa, Illinois, Rutgers. Those sound the safest to me for the first three.
Right.
Man, I still just not even like a whiff of alternate uniform yet. Matt Rule tried to tease it at the end of Big Ten Media Days and then waltzed on out of there. Didn't want to get talking about that, which we didn't mention this earlier. We mentioned it off air, but we did get our quota of Christian McCaffrey as a great football player at Nebraska football.
Oh, we did.
Today. Yeah. EJ Barthel had to say, well, he's one of the best football players I've ever coached. Awesome. Good to know.
And Matt Rule wasn't even talking today.
No, pretty impressive. He's got those guys. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're about. Granted, when you kind of bring the same people like on all the time with you, it does. I guess that makes sense that they're all around the same people, so everyone is great. But teach their own. I wanted to go through and chat a little bit about some of these Big Ten teams that could be under the most pressure. And the reasoning why is because, as the season will progress further and further down the road, down the line, many of these teams' circumstances are going to be significantly different. Nebraska is going to be 7-0, and then they could be, who knows, at the end of the season, right? USC is a team that feels like it could free fall from one tier to the other. Washington's right there too. Michigan probably up there as well. Penn State is always a perennial contender, but they never can. Just basing off of maybe the top 8 teams in the conference, who do you think's under the most pressure? Oregon was preseason number 1 by the media in Big Ten Media Days. Ohio State was 2, Penn State 3, Michigan was 4th, USC 5th, Iowa 6th, Washington 7th, Nebraska 8th, Wisconsin 9th. Who do you think's under the most pressure?
I think Ohio State's under the most pressure because they're going to fire the coach if they don't beat Michigan and win a national championship.
I can't disagree. That has to be the easiest choice, right?
Yes.
But do you feel like Oregon has that same level of not to the same extent of they're not going to fire Dan Lanning, they're not going to
fire him.
No. But you're the new kid on the block, you're the old Pac-12 team, you're coming into a conference. People have you rated in a lot of circumstances just as high, if not higher, than the top team in the Big Ten in Ohio State. You get Ohio State this year. You can prove it on the field. Is there a chance of maybe imposter syndrome when it comes to Oregon? Because if they free fall and lose 2, 3, 4 games, everything that Oregon's building could start to come down, and maybe they start to hit middle of the pack. That pressure isn't nearly the same as it is at Ohio State. But I feel like Oregon has some semblance of a different level of pressure when it comes to the expectation that's placed upon them in year 1.
I guess if Oregon lost the majority of its big games, like if it lost to Ohio State, it went to the big house and it lost, and somehow if they made the Big Ten title game, lost that, then I guess there would be a little, that didn't look right. That wasn't how it was supposed to look.
Right.
But I mean, they still wouldn't fire Dan Lanning or anything like that. They're still Oregon. They're still in all the big recruiting battles.
The spread of level of let's just say mishap for Oregon feels wider than some of the other teams, right? Oregon just has to be in the college football playoff.
Right.
That's all that they need. Kind of the same with Penn State, but Penn State still has this inkling of needing to win a big game. And
any one of them.
They've just got to get one. And I think that's their pressure moving forward in this season. Because if they can't get a regular season win, if they don't make the playoff, they are going to struggle to shed that off of their skin. So the James Franklin pressure meter is always about the same. He's always on the cusp of leaving or being fired or someone moving in or moving on. It's always the same with Penn State the past couple of years. I think this is going to be very odd for a team coming off a national championship. But out of all the contenders in the Big Ten, Michigan has the lowest bar of all of them.
So many built-in excuses, right?
I really, if Michigan went 8-5, would that many people bat their eyes and just say, "Oh man, what a fall from grace"? I don't think anyone would really be that concerned. I think everyone would go, "Yeah, everyone wanted to get their best shot back in Michigan." Yeah, Ohio State ran of course, the Ohio State game's different, but if they went 8-5 and beat Ohio State, all of Michigan fans would go, "Yep, we're good. Last year was the greatest season we've ever had. We're the best team in college football, and we'll take our Holiday Bowl."
I mean, first national championship since 1948.
Yep.
I mean,
and a real national championship,
too. Yeah. So, yeah, they're fine this year. Whatever happens, happens.
Right. I feel that same way with like USC and UCLA, Washington, all the other Pac-12 schools have this wide range that, hey, if we play good, we play great, we'll take it. If we can sneak into a college football playoff, be one of the 12 teams, fantastic. We're going to take it. But also, as long as we go 6-6, 7-5, we're just figuring this out. We're going to be okay. USC standard may be a bit higher, but especially Washington, UCLA, I feel like if they got to 7-5 or 6-6, they would feel very, very good and comfortable with where they were.
I mean, USC's schedule, they're playing 4 preseason top 12, 13, 15 teams. They're going to ask a lot of questions at the end of the year, I think.
And I'm not in love with USC.
No,
I don't understand where these top 25 votes are really coming in from. I understand Lincoln Riley is a great coach, a quarterback whisperer. You can almost assume that he's going to get a great quarterback to come up next through the rankings. But if everything else that comes with this USC product and a Lincoln Riley team, bad defense, sometimes some underwhelming performers at other positions. The offensive line always looks a little bit leaky. USC will always have these tremendous recruits. They'll always get great players, but they don't develop anyone unless it's a top 15 pick.
Luckily, they're kind of in a city that will forget they exist.
True.
If they fail. But I mean, at the end of the season, people might start asking Lincoln Riley, hey, can you do anything other than coach quarterbacks? Like,
that is fair.
We kind of need a little more from you at this point.
And again, I don't think, especially Washington, if Washington went 7-5, I think that they would be very okay with that.
They'd be thrilled.
With all the transition that they've had going on, they'll take any amount of success that they're going to get this season. And then, of course, you fall into Nebraska. I think that there's a good argument to make that if Nebraska does fall off the side of the cliff and it's a 4-8 or 5-7 season, that a lot of optimism would turn quickly negative. And I don't think right now on August 9th that Husker fans are prepared for that type of conversation because we shouldn't be.
Right.
All Husker fans should be positive right now. You have Dylan Raiola. You have things that are trending the right way. But if you do arrive to the last week in November and Nebraska's still fighting to get to that 6th win, this season could make Matt... I'm not saying Matt Rule's on a hot seat by any means, but you have a new AD who said all the right things. Matt Rule is really in charge, all this great stuff, right? He's the leader of the football program. But anytime you bring in a new boss, don't you always have to feel a little bit on edge, a little bit nervous?
A lot of uncomfortable conversations,
right?
If it doesn't quite work the way Nebraska fans think it will work this season,
right?
And whatever you define work as, like they don't make a bowl game this season, there's going to be a lot of questions hurled at Matt Rule.
Do you think there's a fireable offense just in wins and losses this season if it completely falls apart for Matt Rule? In the real world, right? Like they're not going to go 0-12.
Right.
They're not going to win one game. But like, could they go 4-8 and he's still going into year 3?
I don't think there's a realistic number that would be like, okay, you got to go.
But there's also then the Scott Frost ways to lose argument, right? That if every game's within 3 points or 1 score and all that other stuff, I don't know. I don't like these type of conversations, but it's not far from where Nebraska could be. So the pressure meter in terms of teams that aren't expected to compete for a Big Ten title nor the college football playoff, the highest amount of pressure I feel like isn't Nebraska. I feel like it has to be Wisconsin. Like Wisconsin's got to be that one team that everyone, if Luke Fickell doesn't get it going here in year 2, there's more questions on Luke Fickell than if Matt Rule doesn't get it going in year 2.
I would agree with that. I don't know how they feel about Luke up there. I'm sure they didn't love 7-6, but I'm sure they didn't love a ReliaQuest Bowl loss. But it is a bowl game.
It is a bowl game. Must be nice.
People forget.
Love playing in December. December, January. Oh.
I would love to experience it.
Yeah, should be fun. Hopefully. We'll still be talking about that rather than the latter that we just mentioned a little bit ago.
Yeah.
But more conversation coming on the Huskers in Big Red. Steve Sipple joining us from Husker Online later in the hour. We've got that coming up. More Husker talk from the media session today after practice where the media was allowed to view, see, and everything happening with the Big Red. That's coming up next. Connor Happer Show, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com.
Steve Sipple,
Hey! The conversation gets even more uncomfortable, okay?
Omaha! Steve Sipple on the Connor Happer Show on 1620 The Zone.
None other than Steve Sipple on the line, joining us for the Connor Happer Show today on 1620 The Zone. Austin Jacobsen in once again for Hap. Steve, how's everything going out in Lincoln? Wrapping up all those coaches' talking points and everything else happening with practice today. What did you see? What'd you hear? What'd you like?
Austin. Well, there was a lot. Give me a specific. Ask me a specific
All right.
question.
Perfect. Yellow hats and Garrett McGuire. What was your take on that? Are you going to be rocking a yellow hat all season long?
I wondered about that, Austin. I think there's probably some kind of purpose to that, right? Like, so his guys can see him on the sideline or wherever he is. I like yellow. I do. I was just telling somebody the other day that like a yellow Ram truck with black striping is pretty. I've always felt was pretty cool. Or it doesn't have to be a ram, just any kind of pickup. I always thought that yellow color was kind of cool. So I guess it would apply to caps too.
I can't disagree. You're a big fan of Bumblebee the Transformer, then. That's your go-to.
I don't know. I don't even know who Bumblebee the Transformer is, but that whole Bumblebee car, like if it's a Challenger, Dodge Challenger, yellow and black, I like it. I mean, I've always liked that color configuration.
All right. Well, we love that. We also, I was curious your thought when it came to Dylan Raiola. We've heard a lot about him, of course. I don't know if you've heard, he's the freshman quarterback, but what's he doing differently than other freshmen starting quarterbacks we've seen over the last few decades? Has he handled this role and responsibility better than Taylor or Adrian Martinez did in their first year?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I would just say Austin, so far, so good. You know, is he handling it any better? I don't think we'll know that until the games start. Adrian handled things really well. Who else did you mention?
Taylor Martinez too. You can throw him in there.
Yeah, Taylor handled it well. Those guys handled August well, and they were ready to go. So I don't know that Dylan is necessarily doing anything much better that's discernible, at least to someone who's not there every day, which I'm not. I'm not in the building every day. No, I'm not part of the team. I would tell you this about Dylan. I never worry about him. I never really worried about Adrian either, though. For similar reasons. In fact, it's a kind of a similar discussion. They're both very mature. They're both guys you can count on. They're both smart football players. Although I give Dylan an edge in that. I hope Adrian's not listening. I mean, Dylan's really advanced. Taylor was advanced too. But Dylan kind of takes that part to another level. And I'm talking about what he sees at the line of scrimmage, his ability to check in and out of things is really high level for someone that age. I guess the best way to put it is I never worry about him. He's about the least of my concerns on that team. And that's saying a lot about a freshman. But he's a different kind of freshman.
Yeah, a lot of other concerns that came up throughout the week. Obviously, Teddy Prohaska out for the year at offensive tackle. Turner Corcoran still in with that first-team role, but a younger lineup they went with, as reported through the media session earlier today. What was your take on how the offensive line depth is being built, especially with some of the younger players that might need to step up?
Oh boy, yeah, it's gonna be an interesting August now. Okay, I mean, you have to take into account that line goes against a very good defensive line. Maybe one of the nation's best. So everything has to be judged in that context. But if you take I'll do it this way, okay? And I'm fixing to write a Sunday column about this, so I have to start getting my thoughts together. If you take Prohaska out, which he's out for good. Corcoran didn't practice today. Okay, he's out, and then Latovsky's out. Neither Latovsky nor Corcoran are out for good. Obviously, they'll be back. But when you take Prohaska, Corcoran, and Latovsky out, it's trouble. It's just trouble. It's not. I don't know how they. You don't want that to be the case against Colorado. I mean, you might be able to get by UTEP. I mean, it'd make the UTEP game interesting. I'll tell you that. That's my opinion. If those three are all not available, or those, we'll say Latovsky and Corcoran are not available. I hope they're available. They have pretty good depth, but not great. I mean, the whole media narrative that the O line and the D line have great depth was incredibly false. I mean, the D line does, the O line doesn't. Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you something, Austin. There's a challenge over there right now. I mean, that scrimmage tomorrow, which nobody's going to see, is going to be really interesting.
I'm glad you brought up the Colorado matchup as well. It felt like at this time last year, Matt Rule and some of the other pundits and everywhere and circling around Nebraska football was talking about Colorado in almost whispers, right? It was like offhand comments that people had to link back to how Rule was talking about Coach Prime or the Colorado program. Do you feel like there's a different approach to this year's matchup than last year?
Oh, trying to think back. I don't know how much different it is. You know what? How I'd answer that question? I don't think anybody's thinking about it right now over here. So I don't know what their approach is. I think they're not. They got issues of their own to deal with. Now, I mean, I don't think they're thinking too much about Colorado right now. I think if I were the coach, I would be very intent on making sure that's the message, that we got to beat UTEP. All right, UTEP's going to be. I mean, Nebraska's not in a position to overlook anybody. So I doubt I hope they're not thinking much about Colorado right now.
Looking at what we heard today from some of those coaches as well, Steve, the running backs coach E.J. Barthel out there talked a little bit about those top 3 running backs, added Dante Dowdell in there with the 4th. Is there one back that is standing out amongst those 4, or is it truthfully running back by committee, and that's the expectation at least through the first few weeks?
Looks like it looks like a committee, but I think the story of camp in that room, at least, is Ramir Johnson. I mean, Ramir Johnson was with the ones right out of the gate today. Okay. It wasn't Emmett Johnson. It was Ramir Johnson. Ramir Johnson is now, I thought maybe the key quote of the day from Barthel was that Ramir looks better than he's ever looked since EJ's been here. Now it's only been 2 years, but he does look really good. Ramir looked good today. I mean, he's a man. That's the best way to put it. He's a grown up now, and this is a grown up league. This is a league of grown ups. If you're not, if you're not a veteran player, you must be really good if you're playing as a young guy. This is a league that I think that really you need veteran players like Ramir Johnson, and I think Emmett Johnson's good too. I give Ramir a little bit of an edge because of his speed and his big playability. But Emmett's tough. I think those 2 guys are the leaders. That's what I wrote today, right? And I would probably give Ramir a slight edge right now.
Speaking with Steve Sipple today after some Husker practice commentary and checking in on all what's happening with the Big Red. Kind of wanted to ask you some big picture stuff and got to thinking about Troy Dannon and his first year in evaluation. What a difference it is comparative to the first year under Trev Alberts. How different is Dannon's evaluation of all athletics going, maybe compared to that first year where Trev had a lot of decisions to make in that very first stint, especially with those coaches?
God, I don't have a really good handle on that. I don't. I did like. There's something I really loved about Trev, and I haven't had any one-on-one time with Dannon, so I haven't really been able to get a handle on this part. But what I loved about Trev, and this sounds kind of funny, but it was just that W's and L's mattered, and that he had to send that message through the athletic department. It wasn't enough of a message under Eichhorst. It got better under Moose, but then it went to another level with Trev. Trev, I think, because he was a very competitive athlete, as was Moose, by the way, but he just ramped it up in that way. And I haven't heard Dannon talk about that element as much. I think Trev felt coming in that he had to emphasize it. It sounds funny, right? It should always matter, but there's people that emphasize that bottom line more than others, just like any other element that a manager faces. Some managers emphasize some elements more than others. So I don't know. I don't have a great feel for Dannon. I'm not even sure. I need to right now. It's so early. I'm not signing off on ADs like I used to. Like, oh yeah, I think he's great. I don't know. We'll see. I think if you're a Nebraska fan, you're probably like that. I mean, you just don't nod your head and say, "Oh, he's great." I don't know if he's great. We'll see if he's great. You know, what usually defines a AD is the football coach he hires. And if all goes well here, Dannon won't even have to do that. If all goes well with Fred, he won't have to even do that. And that's kind of how you judge those guys anyway.
Going back to football, is there any discussion, whether it's with the athletic department, the football program itself, or just what everyone's outside opinion is, when it comes to the end of season results, when you get down to if the Huskers make a bowl game, what their win total may look like, what result by the end of 2024 or even the beginning of 2025 would Nebraska feel that they're ahead of schedule?
Oh, that's a great question. I think ahead of schedule is 8-4, 9-3, or anything more than 8. I think so. Now, some people might say, no, this is an 8-win team. They wouldn't be ahead of schedule. And I'd listen to that. And then you get into the whole what's the season look like conversation. Sometimes it's hard just to say a record and say this is what it needs to be. What did it look like? Did they lose their final 4? Or did they win their final 5? I don't know. You just never know what it. But I do believe if they would go 9-3 in the regular season, you would say that's ahead of schedule. And boy, that would be nice. That would be nice.
Again, talking with Steve Sipple today on 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show. And just looking again at that big picture, obviously August 9th, we've got a lot of time to talk about everything coming up with the season. I was curious your thoughts just on the pressure maybe to get guys further developed to that next level. We were joking about it earlier on the show. Another Christian McCaffrey comment came up today with EJ Barthel, but with a senior-led team, a lot of returning NFL potential, maybe draftable players from this past draft coming back to play for the Huskers. Does it feel critical to have some guys drafted into 2025 to prove the development of this program?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes and no. I don't look at it quite like that. But I do think it's important to have multiple guys get drafted. I mean, to have 5 or more. It doesn't have to be 5, but multiple guys of that caliber. We've seen at Nebraska now what happens when you don't have NFL players. We've gone through drafts with nobody getting drafted, and that embarrassment. It's embarrassing, but it's also, to me, it's more about you can't win at a high level if you don't have multiple guys that are draftable, and preferably you have a first rounder or 2. I always appreciate that question because it's critical. It is so critical. I can't even tell you. I mean, how do you win in the Big Ten if you don't have NFL players? If you don't have several, multiple NFL caliber players. Hell, Nebraska had them in 2000. Under Frost, they had them. Still didn't win at the level they needed to, and they didn't have enough of them. And I'm not talking about guys that just squeak in the draft. I'm talking about guys you say, oh yeah, that's a first rounder. A couple of those guys, Randy Gregory, Malik Collins wasn't a first rounder. Randy would have been had he not gotten in trouble. But those guys that are so identifiable, that it doesn't require a scout to tell you, he's a first rounder. You just know. It matters a lot to have those type of guys. Those guys get you over the hump.
Last question for you. Newest news coming out, a commitment flip with Isaiah Mosey out of Missouri, changing from Oregon to Nebraska. What was your take on this? What did you think as Nebraska gets another playmaker?
Well, he'll be the most highly rated player in the class right now, as of today. Okay, so it's meaningful in that regard, right? the most highly rated player in the class. He's interesting. If you watch his film, he's an interesting player because he's a receiver that really runs well after the catch because he's also a running back. I mean, you could play him at running back, is what I'm telling you. He'd be smallish, but if you watch his film, there's clips of him at running back. He's a good running back. So naturally, he runs really well after the catch. He's not like Nayor or Banks. He's not a big, tall kid on the outside. He's a smaller guy. I don't know what they list him as. My guess is 5'10", 180, something like that. But I like him. I mean, I just, he can run with it, and that's obviously can catch it. But I like that element of run after the catch, and he's really good at that.
All right, Steve. Appreciate your time as always. Enjoy your weekend, and looking forward to that Sunday column coming out.
All right. God bless you. Thanks for the questions, and have a good show.
Have Steve Sipple joining us, Husker Online, and of course we'll wrap up the show coming up here in a bit with poll questions, what to watch from producer Josh, and your crossover all coming up. It's 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, 1620thezone.com. 1620 The Zone, Connor Happer Show, Austin Jacobsen in, and wrapping up your week before we get you to Rum, Crossover, Unsportsmanlike Conduct, all coming up here in just a little bit. But first, got to get to those poll questions and your what to watch. Josh, what do we have?
Got no poll questions today.
Is that a bad look on me? Do I need to ask more rhetorical questions?
No, I mean we were pretty dialed in today.
We were locked in.
I'm not. Steve Sipple has asked to not be taken out of context in a poll question, which is a completely that's fair.
Yes.
I'm not busting his chops about that.
Yeah.
I would have liked to have asked a few questions about Bumblebee, the Transformer.
I agree. That was a shocking part that he had never heard of Bumblebee, but then directly referenced the car that Bumblebee is.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I mean, maybe when I get back to the office after the show, I could ask something to the effect of, "Do you like the look of Bumblebee, the Transformer?"
Yeah. Okay.
Something like that. That's not really taking him out of context.
Yeah. See what we can do there.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy. Nothing too wild.
No. So we go to what to watch baseball on your TV this weekend. Apple TV, 2 games on. They're on at the same time, so it's not a double header. Always throws me off every week. Reds and Brewers tonight. Also, Guardians Twins, 3:00 tomorrow afternoon on FS1. Astros Red Sox at Fenway. Orioles Rays is the game on Big Fox tomorrow night, which is weird because it could have been Cubs White Sox, which feels like a more regional game than Orioles Rays.
But the White Sox.
Right. Angels and the Nationals, your Sunday morning game on Roku.
Nice.
And Sunday Night Baseball, Mets Mariners from Seattle, 6:00 Sunday on ESPN. It is the first time Sunday Night Baseball has emanated from Seattle since June 6th, 2004.
Whoa.
That's over 20 years.
Holy cow.
Wow. Seems like we're righting a wrong here.
Seattle always gets the short end of the stick when it comes to just in general. Like the town doesn't get great TV matchups.
Sort of an outpost in the sport of Major League Baseball. But I know Stibbs, who's coming in for Unsportsmanlike Conduct, will be very excited that the Mariners are on Sunday Night Baseball. Olympics primetime in Paris tonight on NBC, 7:00. Women's beach volleyball final, women's shot put final, women's 400-meter final, men's 400-meter hurdle final, and the first ever women's breaking final. That would be break dancing. They call it breaking.
It is electric. We had it up. I didn't realize they face off against each other.
I didn't know that would be the case either. I thought it would be a little like a gymnastics floor exercise where everybody does kind of their own thing and is scored on it.
I thought it was more like a rap battle, like an 8 Mile, but it's very unique. I dig it.
It was 10 a.m. tomorrow, NBC women's soccer gold medal game, Team USA versus Brazil. Men's basketball gold medal game, 2:30 tomorrow on NBC. Team USA against the host nation and Victor Wembanyama, France. Closing ceremonies, 2:00 Sunday on NBC. I will replay Sunday night on NBC as well. 6 preseason games in the NFL this weekend on NFL Network. Bears, Vikings, Chiefs, Broncos, all on live on NFL Network this weekend. The Little League Softball World Series Championship is 2:00 Sunday on ABC. A couple non-sports things to watch this weekend. Paramount Plus, all 12 episodes of Tales of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, set in the universe of the recent Mutant Mayhem movie, The Turtles Battle Bishop, a villain who wants to eliminate all mutants.
Okay.
Apple TV has a new movie called The Investigators, a desperate father, played by Matt Damon, and an ex-con, played by Casey Affleck, try to escape capture following a heist gone wrong. And finally, on Peacock, The Bike Riders, the newest member of a motorcycle club played by Elvis Presley himself, Austin Butler, must choose between his loyalty to the gang or the woman he comes to love. Co-starring Tom Hardy. Will you be able to understand what he's saying without the closed captioning on?
Either of those characters? No.
Right, either, yeah.
They should really just start to go Elvis, like in closed captioning, just say Elvis. That's all I need to know. Because Austin Butler is a very confusing dialect. I do not understand him 90% of the time.
He's Elvis, and you can never understand anything Tom Hardy says.
No.
Obviously, most known to the audience as Bane from the Dark Knight Rises.
It's also great when Tom Hardy is in a movie and they're like, oh, well, this American citizen. No.
He's
always
plays an American for some
no
reason.
American speaks the way you do, Tom.
He doesn't have to.
But teach your
And
own.
you know, it's just the way I talk.
Thank you, Eddie Brock. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate that. Again, if you want to follow along on socials at Happer Show, and you can get involved with everything going on, 1620 The Zone on socials and 1620thezone.com, especially linking up with the live stream. You can also check out our crossover coming up next right here on zonetv.live. 1620 The Zone.